The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot.
Are you experienced?
Stop right there!
From high atop the mountains of British Columbia to you listening around the world, this is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
They let us play with all our toys. They let us think that we're big boys. They let us make a lot of noise, but we ain't rule the world. They let us think we're Superman.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, on iTunes and TuneIn. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, or on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you. For you. I will stop till I reach the top just to be there with you.
Dave, oh Dave, are you playing with Bigfoot and aliens again?
Dad, you gotta stop haunting the ghost. It's scaring them.
All right, seriously, put down the pointy sticks.
Oh, the deeper I fall.
Okay! Game on! Game on! Game on!
The password is...
All right.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio. Mr. Bumblefoot, Dave is ready for liftoff.
I try to act so cool, but you know I'm just a fool for you.
Seriously, Dave? Really? Aren't you a little old for a tinfoil hat?
Hello. Toby. Bye-bye. Love you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, just please take your seat about there. There will be it's time to take off. Start. 2, 1, boost ignition, and lift off.
I'm such a lucky guy, 'cause after all this time, it's like the deeper I go, the deeper I fall. The deeper I go, the
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. It's great to have you along for the ride on this Friday, August 25th. Saturday, August 26th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. Hope you had a great day and night. We are live right here in the Great White North, the top of the mountains of central British Columbia, as we are here 7 days a week. We welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of the Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network. York, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We're also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, the High Plains Talk Radio Network, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. If you like our music, get your horns up for Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL, formerly of Guns N' Roses, currently of Art of Anarchy. Bumblefoot is the official sound of Spaced Out Radio. If you're all over social media like I am, you can follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, find me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. Listen to us on iHeartRadio in the United States. Tune us in on TuneIn. Find us on TalkStream Live. Download our shows and subscribe to us on iTunes. And our website is spacedoutradio.com. Now, if you want to take part in this show, sign into one of our chat rooms, please, if you don't mind, either on Revolution Radio, Spreaker, the UPRN chat room, or on Facebook at the SOR Space Travelers Club. Or if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I'll get to your questions and comments in there as well. Now, if you head to our website for $5 a month, you can become a member of the SOR Space Travelers Club. Shop at our store, pick up a nice t-shirt, and some more swag out there. You can read the encounter online, and you can check out my latest blog there as well. And if you've had a sighting you can't explain, fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Tim Doyle from UFO Seekers and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV are great video viewing as well. Tonight on Spaced Out Radio, we first want to tell all of our Texas listeners that our thoughts and prayers are with you for your safety as Hurricane Harvey is rolling on in. Harvey is right now sitting in a Category 4 storm. Please be safe and sound. Let us know how you are doing. We need to know, because we got a lot of listeners in Texas, and we're going to send you all the love and prayers that we possibly can. So buckle down, please. Stay safe from all of us here at Spaced Out Radio. We are thinking of you. The final Monday or Friday of the month, we kick off our shoes and chill out a bit as we talk about the month that was in the paranormal. The SOR Roundtable has me bringing in some of my closest compatriots in this field to discuss and debate the topics at hand. Each of us has 3 questions. None of us know what they are, so the answers are spontaneous and sometimes a little ridiculous. Joining me tonight from Space Out Sundays, Cosmic Passport, Elizabeth Anglin, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal and S4, Joseph Roop from KTLK, The Fringe FM, and the preacher, Eric Markham, our resident SOR scientist. But before we get started, we do have a special guest tonight. Let me introduce you to Betty Bauman. Betty is a cancer survivor who is about to visit 48 states in 48 days to raise money for cancer research. We thought it would be cool to bring Betty on to tell us her story as to why she is doing this fundraiser. We've never really done anything like this before, but I think it's great. 48 states, 48 days, Betty. How are you going to do it?
It's actually very easy. It's only about 270 miles per day that I would have to ride on the motorcycle.
Well, at least you're riding on a motorcycle. I thought you were running. When Kim Gandy set this up with us, I thought you were going to be hoofing it, running. And I'm like, man, that's more than a marathon a day.
Yeah, it's actually about 14,000 miles to go to all 48 states. We're setting up specific sites in each state where I'm going to, of course, take my picture and post it so that the people that are following me on Facebook can watch my progress as I go around the United States.
What did you do to come up with this idea? Why did you think this would be a great way to raise money?
I was actually returning from a trip. I belong to an organization, Women in the Wind. It's an international organization. And we had our international meeting in Denver, Colorado. And on the way back, we stopped at the National Motorcycle Museum in Anamosa, Iowa. While I was there, I was looking through a lot of the different motorcycles and everything, and I came across one that had done this 6 times. It was a lady that had done it 6 times on her motorcycle, and the motorcycle was there in the museum. I got home, and I had some bad news. A very, very close friend of mine who has been very inspirational in my life. Her cancer had returned. She has breast cancer. It had returned, and it is in stage 4. So it's actually a matter of months. They will not be able to do anything to send her back into remission. So it became something that just popped into my head, and I put it out to a couple of groups that I have online and asked them, what they thought about the idea, and they all started throwing ideas and maps and all kinds of things my way, and next thing I know, it was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I contacted the World Motorsport Breast Cancer Foundation, which is a local organization here not too far from me in Illinois, and they agreed to sponsor it for me. So before I knew it, it kind of snowballed, and here it is. I started a Facebook page specifically for this, and I started it yesterday, and I've got 456 people following already.
Very nice. And congratulations on being that person who steps up to do something, because the one thing about cancer is all of us are affected. We all know someone close to us, whether it's a friend, a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, or an uncle, heaven forbid a brother or a sister, who has dealt with this issue. My mother is a 2-time survivor with breast cancer and colon cancer, and from what I hear, you're a survivor as well.
Yes, I'm actually almost 3 years cancer-free.
Wonderful.
I'm
Wonderful.
still medication, but
well, we
like that.
We love hearing that, and keep up that good fight, because this is a very, very ugly disease, and it's merciless. I know people who've never smoked a day in their life, and yet they're dying from lung cancer. Like I said, my grandmother passed away from cancer. Other people I know have passed away from cancer. When I was in Children's Hospital as a young child, the girl I was in therapy with, she passed away from cancer 2 days after I was taken home from the hospital, and checked out from the hospital. It's a terrible, horrible disease. It doesn't care your age, your color, your sexuality. It is horrible. And with people like you, Betty, getting out there and riding for a cure, I commend you for finding the time and the ability and the strength to do that. So thank you on behalf of all of us who've been affected one way or another for doing that.
I appreciate the time and everything that the people are giving me. They're actually more inspiring than this. The amount of love and everything that's pouring in, and the support for this endeavor. I don't think I'll have to sleep in a tent or anything the entire time I'm taking this trip, because everybody's offering beds and showers and food, and I've got people who are offering to escort me through part of the state. The thing is so we hear so much about cancer, and you really only hear it from the survivors. You don't hear about the ones that are actually not able to make it through. I'm just hoping that someday they will find a cure for cancer, all types of cancer.
I agree with you. And how much money are you trying to raise right now?
My goal is $5,000. Like I said, I started my Facebook page and everything yesterday. I've got $70 so far.
Nice. It's a start.
Anybody that would want to contribute can actually either go to the World Motorsports Breast Cancer Foundation on Facebook and donate there, or if they're interested in following me, they can actually request to put a request in on my Facebook page.
Wonderful.
And that's under my name, Betty Bauman. And since Betty Bauman is a normal, common name, just look for the woman in orange sitting on a motorcycle with a breast cancer ribbon. That's me. That's the one that you would want to request to join.
Excellent. everybody in Spaced Out Radio Land, if you could do me that favor and go and sign up for that Facebook page, Betty Bauman. Okay, we need to help her out. We brought her on here to help her out, and you know what? We want to... Let's do something special. We've done things special here before, my friends. Let's do something special. If you got a quarter, if you got $1, if you got $10, head it over. Betty just told you how to get that. Betty, I'm going to get you to give that again. And I want you to think, especially those in the SOR Space Travelers and in the Spreaker chat room, you guys know, and you've seen and you've chatted with Mark, a good friend of mine, Mark Spender here, okay? Mark's mother is going to be dying tomorrow from cancer, all right? And I know a lot of you have chatted with him. See, up here in Canada, as of June, doctor-assisted suicide is now legal. And his mother is fading rapidly. She wanted to go out on her own merit, so I believe tomorrow is her final day on this planet. And Mark's pretty sad. So let's do it for Mark's mom, all right, because we're sending out love to our own listeners here. He is in a tough shape right now, all right? And let's do this. Let's send it to Betty. Okay, it doesn't matter if you're Canadian, if you're American, or where you are in the world. Australia, we know that the Australian contingent is in our chat rooms right now. Okay, if you have a quarter, 50 cents, $1, make sure you go to Betty's Facebook page, Betty Bauman. Look for the breast cancer awareness ribbon, the pink one. You know what to look for, and let's make this happen. Let's make this a special ride from our Spaced Out Radio listeners. Betty, once again, please, if you don't mind, tell people again where they can donate.
They can go to the World Motorsports Breast Cancer Foundation and donate through them, or they can go and request to be added to my Facebook page, which is Betty Bauman, Bauman, and it is the woman on the motorcycle with the breast cancer ribbon running along the bottom.
Betty, would you do me a favor, or a couple of favors,
yes,
if you don't mind? Check in with us from time to time. Let us know how you're doing, okay? We've got, you, me, and Kim have the Facebook chat going. I want to know how you're doing. Please ride safe, and at the end of this all, I would love for you to come back on and give us an update on how much money you raised over the next couple of months.
That would be fantastic. The ride is going to be, I'm going to start it on 9/9 at 9 a.m. Central Time.
And you're leaving out of Indiana?
And I'm leaving out of Northwest Indiana, correct.
Are you heading west or east first?
I'm actually heading west and north so I can make it through the mountain. And then I will be driving down along California and across the south, making kind of a figure eight so I can stop back in and see, you know, all my supporters. And, of course, the woman that has inspired this, she has requested to remain nameless. She's not a real big attention person, but the whole reason I'm doing this, and she has inspired me to do it, so I will want to stop in and see her to see how she's progressing. And then I'll head up over the mountains on the East Coast and down and around and finish it back up in Indiana.
Perfect. Please keep us in touch. We're going to send you a lot of love, prayers for your safety as well. And so we can hear back from you and check out how you're doing along your ride. And when you're all done, I know we're all going to be curious. So please come back and let us know. Okay, Betty?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for this time. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for taking time to share your awesome story with us, and good luck on the trip. And once again, Spaced Out Radio listeners, Betty Bauman on Facebook. That's Bauman. She's riding her motorbike. I'm looking at it right now. She's got the pink ribbon on there. So make sure you go donate to her. Like I said, if you got an extra quarter, an extra $1, an extra $5, doesn't have to be $100, $200. Any dollar or coin helps, you know, and donate it to this great cause, because we definitely stand behind finding a cure for cancer. Betty, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio. You be safe.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, let's move on to the SOR Paranormal Roundtable tonight. Once again, I am joined by Elizabeth Anglin from Spaced Out Sundays, Cosmic Passport. From Lighting the Void on the KTLK network, Joseph Roop, Eric Cooper, Eric Markham are here as well. Gentlemen, lady, how are we?
We're doing good.
Excellent.
Good. Up here.
Preacher, we can barely hear you. You got to get close to the phone. You sound like you're in the bathroom.
No, I'm not.
I'm telling you right now, since Joey Giggles is not here for me to pick on, you're my mate tonight, man. You're my mate.
Okay. All right.
All right. Let's make this happen. So how we do this show is we go about this where all of us on this panel have 3 questions made. None of us know what the questions are. None of us know how they're going to answer them. We all jump in, we discuss, we debate, we have some fun. And me being the token Canadian of this group, I get to go first. I'm going first. So, my first question of the August edition of the SOR Paranormal Roundtable, my best American radio voice there, is this. Earlier this month, infamous, that we can call him now, UFO researcher and experiencer contactee with a movie on Netflix right now, Stan Romanek, was found guilty on one of 2 child porn charges. He was found not guilty on distributing, but he was found guilty on having a very, very... I don't even know how many number of underage girls naked on his computer. His wife says it was the government. Stan says it was the government. And they are planning an appeal. He is out until sentencing. Elizabeth, you're an ET contactee. We're going to start with you on this one, if you don't mind. As disgusting as this topic is, I think it hurts all of the field of ufology. Because one bad apple can spoil the whole damn bunch. It's a good Guns N' Roses song, and I'm preparing for next Friday. So there's going to be a lot of GNR quotes in here tonight. But how do you feel this incident will affect the field of ufology?
Well, I think it won't affect the field of ufology at all. I think what it does is it affects people who make claims of alien abduction, and I think it affects our honesty, and it's basically an attack on, are these people really honest? Are they above board? Are they good people? Are they bad people? So it's more of a character smash up of people who are abductees. And in terms of whether or not those were his materials on the computer, I've looked at it. I have had some reservations about Stan for a long time. For example, I know he's not the most documented alien abductee. John Mack documented people far more than he was ever documented, with far more regressions. I know that, some of the things, I like part of his book. I like that he came out and said some of the things that he did. I don't know whether or not they were his. I saw the video of him throwing the pin cap in the air, and it was like, oh my God, why did you have to do that?
That was funny.
It was funny, but it was also sad. It was like, oh, high strangeness. And it's like, we all know as abductees that we have some periods of extremely high strangeness that come around every once in a while, but they're not always happening all of the time. Oh, we've had a big accident. Sorry if you can hear that. And the other thing is, I was warned by a forensic analyst at the FBI who was one of my beta readers from my book. And he said, if you ever want to check that your computer is clear of any sort of government interference or black ops interference, he said, I can do that for you. And he said that would be, in his mind, putting on something like child porn or something else would be the way that the government would go about wrecking your reputation. So even I was warned that this could be a possibility, or something like that could happen to me for writing a book. And I was offered help if I wanted to find out ways to make sure that it didn't. And I said, I don't think anybody's going to do that to me. but you never know. So I'm on the fence, but it's not good for abductees. But it also is. There's a pattern of this in terms of wanting abductees to just be quiet and go back into the closet and stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Now, I am going to jump in here, guys, because one of our listeners to the show, Eric the Awakening Man, at Awakening Man on Twitter, he was actually at the trial and talked with Stan and Lisa Romanek afterwards. He's asked if he could call in. I have given him permission. I'm going to be punching him in here momentarily. So just let me write down your number here, Eric, and we're going to get you in here because I want to get your idea of this. I think this is going to be very, very interesting. We never really do this. So what the hell? Let's try this out. All right, hold on a second here. We're going to add Awakening Man in here. And panel, by the way, when we get Eric in here, please feel free to another Eric. That's all we need. We got the hat trick of Erics in here now. But feel free, panel, to jump on in here as well.
Well, I would like to make a
1 second here, Awakening Man. Hold on 1 sec. Coop, you got it. You were just saying something.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. To me, it makes a statement when his wife, instead of, I mean, anytime you get this kind of a thing where you got child porn or a pedophile kind of thing going, it makes a statement when his wife, instead of leaving him, stands behind him.
I agree with you.
That to me does make a statement.
But is she blinded by love? And
possibly.
Eric Awakening Man, you were in Colorado for this, and this is totally impromptu, so let's just run with this. Awakening Man, what did you see down there?
I'll try to make it short, and then you can pick areas that you might want me to elaborate on. But I got there Monday morning. The trial started Wednesday, and the defense got to put on, the prosecution did 2.5 days of, from what I was told, strictly pictures of child porn and all their evidence in terms of all their links that they had, all their IT links and so on and so forth. So I missed all that. Then Friday came, Friday afternoon after the morning session is when the defense began their case. They had 10 witnesses scheduled. Lisa Romanek spoke Friday. And then I believe it was cut short that day. So then came Monday, which is when I arrived. I got there at 8:30 in the morning. I was with a friend of mine. And I had been tweeting with Lisa Romanek for over 1.5 years because I like Lisa. She's a good woman, in my opinion. I actually like Stan. I don't know Stan that well, but my intuition tells me Stan is a good guy. My intuition tells me he is not a pedophile. But I wanted to go there and really see and feel the whole experience to really have a true vision of what I believe really is going down. Anyway, so what happened on Monday, this was interesting. They did the morning session. They had Lisa came back for just a brief 10-minute little defensive statements on the stand. And then they brought in 2 other ladies, one lady who was a friend of Stan's, and they tried to discredit her. One of the prosecution attorneys said to the lady in court something to the effect of, when did you first meet Stan? And she said, well, I met him at a house party. And then he said, he said to her, that's not true. Didn't you claim to have met him in an alien spaceship during an abduction with some silly little aliens? That's exactly what he said. Trying to make the woman less credible and kind of crazy-ish, put the little tinfoil hat on the lady. So she did. She was only on the stand for maybe 3 or 4 questions. Then another lady came in who is a local investigator who's been a private investigator who doesn't work for the prosecution or the defense. She just observes all the shenanigans that go on in this little city, in this little town that they happen to have, the Larimer County. And she's been researching corruption in that county since way, way before Stan Romanek's case evolved. And so she, in the process of investigating Stan Romanek's case, interviewed over 150 people in prominent positions in the community and she had testimony in writing that she was prepared to deliver in her defense of Stan Romanek that was squashed completely by the judge, because the prosecution stood up and said, "Hold on a second here before we get into this." They wanted to limit her testimony, so they were actually able to limit her to like 4 questions. She was off the stand. So Monday's over. Okay. Tuesday morning comes, and the trial was supposed to go through Wednesday. So Tuesday morning comes. We're there again bright and early. And I met Stan and Lisa. They were outside in the auditorium, or the little, what do they call that, little waiting area outside the courtroom. There weren't that many people as guests that were sitting in the stands listening. I would say maybe 9 people on the prosecution side, mostly reporters, local reporters. And then Stan had his friends and some of his supporters, maybe 10 or 15 of them on his side. Then this is where it got interesting. So I'm sitting right behind the prosecution, and I'm observing the prosecution. I'm observing the defense team, their interactions, and it seemed kind of odd to me. They were awfully friendly with each other. And then it was determined somehow Stan was ready to go on the stand and testify. And then his defense team told him, no, we don't think that's a good idea. They're going to bring up the alien stuff. We don't want to bring up the alien stuff. They're going to make you look like a fool. We don't think it's a good idea that you testify. So Stan took their advice, because that's his defense team. He's going to do what they tell him to do. And in the meantime, they had 7 witnesses out there, some expert witnesses. One of the expert witnesses was an IT expert who understands how hacking works, who understands how simple and easy it is to plant information into someone's computer remotely. And he was going to testify to all that. And for some reason, the judge and the defense team and the prosecution all decided that these 7 witnesses that were going to testify on Tuesday, they all just got squashed, every one of them. So Stan had literally 3 witnesses out of 10 testify for a total of about maybe an hour. And the prosecution had 2.5 hours to put their case up there. So from my opinion, it was not a fair trial. This is the key point here that'll come up in the retrial or the appeal, is Stan. At one point, they said the prosecution said, "Okay, Stan, on this date at this time, we have record of you on the computer, or your computer was on, whether Stan was on the computer or not, and we see that you were looking at child porn at that particular time." Stan has a bag of receipts. Apparently, he's a receipt hoarder. That's what Lisa testified to. And on one of his receipts is a receipt that his computer at that time was in a computer repair shop being repaired. So at the same day, on the same time that the prosecution is claiming that computer was at Stan's home when he was looking at child porn, but the judge would not allow that in.
Oh, that was
my rant on a legal angle right there. It was very unfair, my opinion. The whole thing was
like Markham said. Yeah, and I agree. It's kangaroo court. And to me, just what you just said and witnessed, it tells me that Stan was actually innocent. Now, what's going to be, I won't say fun, but what's going to be cool is I start cyber terrorism class on Monday, which is going to go into malware, how from a terrorist point of view. But if you want to look at it, the government just did terrorist act technically against Stan Romanek. So
yes.
Yeah. And,
most of you may know they've tried to kill him several times. I mean, that's a fact. It's not just a speculative. They weren't able to kill him, so this is what they decided to go this route, is what I believe.
Well,
that's common.
The difficult part about this is, Awakening Man, is no matter what, Stan's reputation is ruined in the field. Mm-hmm. Even if his retrial, he comes back and he is an innocent free man, his days as a ufologist are over. I'm actually quite surprised that when we went and looked at Netflix tonight, his documentary is still on there, considering that he is on child. Well, right now he's convicted. Let's be honest. Right now he's convicted. Yeah. I'm surprised Netflix has not pulled that off yet, because really they don't. Most movie theaters or websites like Netflix don't really care for pedophilia involvement. And I'm surprised about that. But I think in the end, and I've said this point blank, a lot of people have stated many a time, that alien in the window where Stan does the little freak out dance or whatever he does. I have argued that point. I said, until you've had that happen at your window, don't talk about it. Because I've had it happen. And I'm not really a Stan Romanek fan. I think when he started losing popularity, I think his arrogance got too big. I don't know the man. But in just what I've read over him and watching him and listening to him talk and stories people have told me, I think his arrogance that he wanted to be the guy in ufology got too big, and he tried challenging the government a little bit too much, and they were slapping him across the face. And when they couldn't beat it out of him, this is what they did. That's my opinion. And anything else, it's very easy to do, because if they kill him, it's all over the news. We're all going to know.
Real quick, Char wants to know if you could, if you know any information, Eric. How did they try to kill him? I mean, did they try shooting him?
They did shoot him a couple times. They even have the bullet casings that embedded into his window a couple times, and then one time he was riding his bicycle, and they basically ran him off the road tried to literally run him off the road, and they've got. If you watch his documentary, Extraordinary, you'll see all that on there. That the bruises on his face and all the damages that was done to his body. I wasn't there obviously to witness these things. I just go on my gut and intuition. The one thing I will say that I did ask Stan this. This is Tuesday afternoon after the morning session, and then they said, okay, the defense. It was time for, Tuesday afternoon, about 11 o'clock, the jury was ready with their verdict. They had only been deliberating for 2 hours. And during that 2-hour period, I was out in the little corridor area outside in the park. There's a little park right outside the courthouse. And Stan was out there with Lisa, and I waved at him because I didn't think it was an appropriate time to go up and start talking to him, because I knew he's probably really tense about it. But he waved me over, which I was kind of surprised, because this lady that I was with, I said, well, we're not going to go talk to him unless he wants to talk to him. And he waved us over, so we actually went over and spoke to him for about an hour. And I asked him, I said, listen, if you are not guilty and you have the freedom to come out and speak about the UFO and the alien topic, are you going to continue to do that? He said no. He goes, I will never speak about it again, regardless of the verdict. His main focus he wants to talk about now is consciousness. And one of the comments he made to me was that the only thing he was trying to do, he thought naively that he could save the world. And that was really that was his objective. He thought, and that might be where you say the arrogance comes in, is he really believed that he could save the world somehow. But he was rudely awakened. That was not the case. And then another thing is I met Stan's dad. Stan's dad lives in Wyoming. His name is Dr. Stanislav Ojak. He's 90 years old and very brilliant man, psychic. I went to his house for 2 days, the 2 days after the trial, and I didn't stay there literally 2 days, but I spent a day with him and then came back the next day and spent the morning with him. And I was picking his brain as tactfully as I could, and nobody believes that Stan is a pedophile. I know on the surface it can appear that maybe he could be, but nobody believes that. And his family and his group, he's never shown any kind of penance to do that sort of thing. It's just not his nature.
Eric,
his nature.
Eric, I want to get to a question here at #SpacedOutRadio on Twitter coming from John, and I think this is a great computer. Did the defense team ever think of putting the computer repairman on the stand?
They wouldn't even allow the evidence in.
Yeah, he was innocent.
They wouldn't allow it. It was. Let me tell you, I was shocked. It was. I don't want to say it was crooked, but it certainly looked crooked to me.
Wow.
The judge was very good. The lady, her name was Judge Blanco. She was an excellent judge, very friendly, and she appeared to be very fair. But when they have those little sidebars, and the prosecution and the defense goes up there and talks privately to the judge, you don't know what they're saying, but during those conversations, they determine what evidence is going to be permitted and what's not. And all the key evidence that Stan wanted to present that might have got him off that other charge, probably would have got him off that other charge, was not allowed in.
No,
I'm
that
not
was a
making any of this
one-sided.
up. I'm not exaggerating to try to support Stan. I'm just telling it like it was. That's exactly what happened.
That was one-sided. It
Very
looks like to
one-sided.
me like, yeah, none of the evidence that would have cleared him was permitted.
Can
So
he appeal? That's my question. Can he appeal?
He did appeal. Here's another thing that's interesting. I don't know if you guys have heard of Daniel Sheehan. He's a pretty well-known lawyer.
Yes.
Some of us may know it. This was interesting because I asked, this is what I asked Stanislav. I said, why did Stan pick these lawyers? Who are these people? And they were ex-prosecutors. They worked on the other side of the table, right there in the same courtroom. For whatever reason, he selected them, but it was suggested to him by his father to go with Daniel Sheehan, and for some reason he chose not to. But I'm trying to. I suggested that. It's not who am I to suggest, but I really think that he needs to get somebody outside the area to help him with his appeal, and if it goes to a retrial, because anybody that's in that local community, I personally wouldn't trust them. I just wouldn't.
Wow. That's a lot of food for thought, Eric. Anybody else want to comment on that? Joe, Preacher?
Well, I think what's going to happen, I'll have to disagree where you said you thought he was over as a ufologist. I think once he is exonerated, the world's going to be his oyster, because he's going to be the guy that the government tried to screw over and couldn't, or didn't get away with. Like Eric was saying, nobody thinks the man's a pedophile. And, blinded by love, I'm not sure that there's just some things that you can do that your wife is going to just immediately turn to hate on you. And I think kiddie porn would be one of them. I can't imagine a wife being tolerant of that. I just think there would be I think mother instincts would kick in, and that would be the end of that. So I'm hoping that he's exonerated.
Let me tell you what this is what Stan's facing. This is the decision that he's facing right now. Okay, here's what's going to probably happen. He's going to appeal. They haven't sentenced him yet. So they could sentence him to no jail time. Literally, they could say, you're going to have to register as a pedophile. Wherever you move, we need to know exactly where you live. We can track you at all times, and there's no jail time. Or they can give him 2 years, up to 6 years if they want to. So if Stan appeals, let's say, and they feel that maybe his new lawyer and whatnot, and maybe it was already suggested that if there is a retrial, get moved to another county. If he wants to fight it one more time, and he, let's just say, loses again, they're going to hammer him with the full penalty probably, give him 6 years. So he has to think about this. Do I just take the deal, maybe no jail time, and now they're going to track me for the rest of my life, or do I go through all this again, and if I lose, I get 6 years. But if I win, but they're still going to hammer me. You know what I mean?
So take the plea bargain and
the plea bargain's the best way to do it, because let's face it. If Stan had that conviction overturned, I agree with Preacher that his ego will kick back in. I defeated the government. I won. I mean, don't forget. I mean, this was a guy who was showing up at Paracons and UFO cons for galas in a tuxedo where everybody else is wearing jeans because he wanted to stand out. Okay, I mean, let's be honest here. There is a large ego there, and you just admitted it. He felt he was going to save the world with his ufology. Yeah. Okay, so there is a large ego there. If he goes in and that ego kicks back in, and everything he says is true, he will get right back up on that pedestal, and he will be the first guy to say, I told you so. Then all of a sudden there's going to be a plane crash, or there's going to be a car accident, or wrong place at the wrong time for an armed robbery on the street that went bad. That's what's going to happen.
That's what I see too.
Yeah.
Well,
I
go ahead.
I see a death sentence. I see a death sentence, whether it's an accident or if he does beat the government.
Exactly. And that way, if he does take any sort of plea bargain with no jail time, okay, with no jail time, he gets to shut up and live.
Exactly. And he already said that he's moving out of the county and nobody's going to know where he's going to live. But the reality is that the government will always know where he lives because he has to register wherever he lives as a pedophile.
Exactly. And so will the community.
And two more points that I thought were interesting. And this just was Stan and I were talking, and I forget how we got on the topic. But he told me, and I confirmed this with his father. I think as long as his father's alive, I think Stan's is gonna make the right decision. His father's 90 years old. His father believes he's going to live to 104, so that's a good thing. So Stan said that his IQ is 175, and his father confirmed that. And his father paid for Stan's DNA testing, whatever, I don't know if it's blood or DNA, whatever kind of testing that they do. And it was determined in that test that Stan's DNA had 28% unknown DNA, which is much higher than the standard human. So that was interesting, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's information we probably wouldn't hear until maybe later down the road. Stan, that I'm not making any of this up. That's exactly what I was told by two people that I think were being honest with you.
Well, Eric, if you could do us a favor, keep us in touch with what is going on, because we want to stay right on top of this story, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I'd love to. Appreciate it, Dave.
All right. Eric, @AwakeningMan on Twitter if you want to follow him. Eric, thank you for jumping in. Anybody else from the panel want to get in on this? And I've let Eric go, and it's just us now. Joe Root.
I'm not speaking up because I think I'm in the minority here, the supreme minority. I think integrity is a big thing in this field, and when you do something like throw a pin or whatever, or you put a flashlight on your roof and say it's a ship, and I know I'm saying this guy didn't stumble upon something. I think he did. I think he stumbled upon something, and he might be trying to blow it up more than it really is, and he might have stumbled on something really important. But you can't know anybody by a first impression. You can't know anybody until you pass a time with them. So no one's going to know anything about the UFO thing with this guy. It's all going to be opinion. As far as the child pornography stuff, man, that was a jury trial, wasn't it? I'm asking because I don't know.
I think it was just a judge.
Okay, I heard it was a jury trial.
It could have been. Could have been, yeah.
It's a little bit different when it's a jury trial, I think. I don't trust the guy. I just don't trust him. I don't trust anybody that's going to lie to you in any kind of way like that. Not saying that other stuff didn't happen to him, but it's hard for me to believe anything happens to you at that point.
But here's my argument, though. Jury trial or not, if his evidence that would have made him clean wasn't admitted, the jury trial is going to go by what they see. If that evidence, the receipt that particular computer was in a shop, how could there be child porn if that computer is in a shop?
Lawyers. Well, sorry to cut you off there, but lawyers present evidence that they know is not going to get passed just to put it in the mind of the jury. He didn't get convicted of all of them for a reason.
I still don't trust the government. The government, if they can't kill you, they will discredit you. And child pornography is the best way to discredit anybody, hands down.
Absolutely.
So
as of right, go ahead.
They just ruined his life. Now, is he going to come out and is he going to come out and talk UFOs again? Probably.
If it's overturned, if it's overturned, he will be the first one back on the circuit. He'll be the first one.
But like you said, Dave, he's going to be on the circuit for maybe a month or two, and he's going to wind up dead somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah, the best thing he can do is be quiet and do his time, actually.
Liz?
I'm sorry I'm breaking in, but here's the thing. I agree with Joe that the things I didn't like about him were he could be less than completely, utterly, scrupulously honest in how he self-promoted. But I don't think that he had child pornography in his computer. But the fact that he was being less than completely 100% scrupulously honest in his self-promotion and with his ego doesn't add to the hopefulness for him. And I do think, I really believe we'll get it. They'll wait. It won't be a month after he goes back if he wins. It'll be within the year. He will have an accident where there is 100% plausible deniability. It could be a drowning. It could be something that causes pulmonary hypertension, like a friend of mine had, but he won't be on the scene if he goes back.
Here's the sad part about the whole thing, Stan Romanuk aside. Everyone sees what they've done to Stan. That is going to make it so darn hard for any experiencer to come out and talk, just like you said, Elizabeth. And I mean, working with abductees as we do, yeah, who's going to want out and talk? Who's going to want to come out and get help for what they're going through when they see what they're doing to Stan? Or, you know, Bill from the UFO hunters, or, you know, it's ironic, and I don't like the irony, but it's ironic that what happened to Bill, and now you look at Stan, you come out and get too loud, they're going to target you.
Well, I'm willing to lay a little side bet that within 2 years, Stan Romanek is going to be diagnosed with a very rare brain cancer called glioblastoma.
Yeah.
That tends to be the government's disease of choice to get rid of people that piss them off. If they can't discredit you by making you a pedophile or a sex offender or some other reprehensible reputation, something horrible and repellent to mankind, they kill you with brain cancer.
Well, you know what? We only have about 3.5 minutes before we got to go to our first break of the night. 4.5 minutes, pardon me. So let's just run the tables on this topic, and then we can get to, something on else here in the second hour to kick things off. And, that was quite unexpected for Eric to come on in. I hope you guys don't mind the Awakening Man coming on in and doing that for us, but that was very intriguing to get that bird's eye view from what was happening in court. How, as a defense attorney, if I was, guilty or not, if I have proof and I have people on the stand waiting to go on the stand and they were told that 7 witnesses of mine that could prove my innocence are being thrown out, I'm going to be pissed off. Mm-hmm. And I think right on that case, guilty or not, right on that flaw right there, hell yeah, get a retrial. Absolutely. Now, if Stan truly did do it, because obviously there's going to be an appeal, unless he takes the plea bargain, and if there's an appeal after sentencing, he better go balls to the wall, because that means that, and get a lawyer from out of town if that community is so bad. But, the weird part about it is, he had so many years to get out of there. He knew they were torturing him there in that town. Leave. It's like poltergeist, man. You got a poltergeist in your house, leave. Move. It's for your own safety. Am I wrong here, panel?
No, that's logical.
Yeah, logical. But, who knows? I don't know what his financial situation is. Sometimes it's
exactly
easier if you have the money. If you don't, it's impossible. So, yeah.
There's always a way. There is always a way, one way or another. If your child is getting bullied at school and beaten up every day, do you keep them in that school? No, you move them unless you're an ignorant parent. And if you believe Stan's story, he was bullied because he called them out. He called them out all the time. He wasn't after about just making a name for himself. He wanted to be the guy that brought down the government on this topic. He wanted to be the man. And after getting the crap kicked out of him a couple of times, a couple of bullets fired into his house, they tried everything, and he wouldn't shut up. Right? And when the experiences stop, well, boom, there we get the pen cap throw on Skype. Whoa, what was that? Oh, wow. Wow. If you haven't seen that video, you got to see that video. It's priceless. It's priceless.
hard to watch, man. It really is for me.
It's very hard to watch. It's very hard to watch. All right. We're going to bug on out for our first break of the night here on Spaced Out Radio. The SOR Paranormal Roundtable happens the first... Well, make that the last. Why do I always say the first? Damn it. The last Friday of the month. Tonight we are joined by Elizabeth Anglin from Spaced Out Sundays Cosmic Passport, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, and S4. That can be heard at spacedoutradio.com. Our resident preacher and scientist, Eric Markham, and from KTLK, The Fringe FM, and Lighting the Void Radio, we have the man, the myth, and the legend all rolled into one, Joseph Roop. Great hair, by the way, Joe. You add some really good quality hair to this program. Yeah, we appreciate you bringing in that hair because, I mean, Coop's hair is nice. He's got the beard to go. Liz has great hair. Markham? You know, Markham just needs to maybe comb the back hair upward. You know, that's maybe how it's got to go. Told you, Markham, tonight's your night, buddy. Tonight's your night. It's all in love, all in love. Comb that back hair upwards, my friend, and if you need some, I got some to lend you. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Hour number 2 of the Paranormal Roundtable coming up right after this.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over the Spaced Out Radio night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your 4-Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Want a place to share your experiences without feeling judged? we have the place for you. If you've experienced sightings or contact with ETs, ghosts, cryptids, or UFOs, and you'd like someone to confidentially look into the matter, just fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our goal is to help you get the answers you need to the experiences you've had with our professional team of researchers. Your information stays 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. Fill out your experience today only at spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience. Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific North Weird has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific North Weird right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Hour number 2 underway tomorrow night and Sunday. It's the weekend, which means Spaced Out Saturdays with Dave Cruz starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. He will have Vanessa Hogel on his show tomorrow night. And then the lovely and talented... Not that Dave isn't lovely and talented, but in a different way. But the lovely and talented Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Sundays. We got your weekend action all ready for you. All you got to do is show up. Everything is at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of the Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas. And if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Sesquipedalian. Sesquipedalian is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. Follow me on Instagram, Dave Scott, SOR. You can find us on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live, TuneIn, and don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. You can also shop at our Spaced Out Radio store, read The Encounter online, rock out to some Bumblefoot, or watch some UFO Seekers or Contact TV. It's a great place to be at spacedoutradio.com. The final Friday of the month is our Paranormal Roundtable. Let me introduce our panel once again from KTLK, The Fringe FM, and Lighting the Void, Mr. Joseph Roop. He's got his hair done and everything tonight, perfectly gelled, probably a little Brill cream in there as well. We have Eric Cooper from S4 and Force Moon Paranormal. Our resident preacher, Eric Markham, the SOR scientist, and from Spaced Out Sundays, Elizabeth Anglin. Group, welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
All right, Coop, let's get to your first question of the night, since I kind of owned hour number one and killed a lot of time.
Oh, well, let me look at my list here. Yeah, and it kind of goes along the lines of what we just talked about. Do you think it'll ever be easier for experiencers to come out and talk about their experiences without ridicule or threat?
I totally do. But that won't happen until the mainstream media starts taking us a little bit more seriously. You know?
So what's it going to take? What's it going to take for the mainstream media to take us serious?
Well, you're going to have to find out at your Paracon, because that's why I hate the paranormal. No, but seriously, I think this is what has to happen. We need to get away from UFO stories. Okay, I watched a really cool documentary on YouTube last night. In fact, normally what happens after the show, let me just explain this. When I crawl into bed, I put my headphones in and I listen to other guests, I listen to other shows, and this is how I kind of spend my night winding down. Normally I fall asleep to them. Last night I couldn't, because I put in one of my heroes, who is George Knapp. Okay, and let's face it, George Knapp broke the Bob Lazar story. It went global. And he was talking about the Bob Lazar story, and the topic was UFOs in media. It goes back to, I think, 2014, when he was speaking at a MUFON conference on UFOs in media. And the one thing George Knapp said in there is, until we as the media start taking this subject seriously, that means no more Star Trek themes, no more X-Files themes, no more smart-ass comments coming out of the story which totally degrade the entire story coming out, whether it's on radio, whether it's on television. You ever notice there's always got to be that smart-ass quip by one of the anchors coming out after it? Until we can end that, this will never happen. But it's people in these chat rooms and on Twitter who like these topics, who have to push those people who are experiencers and don't know where to turn to the proper programming. Whether it's us, whether it's Coast to Coast, Heather Wade, Clyde Lewis, Jimmy Church, it doesn't matter who. You push them to the people who are taking care of the experiencer. And when they walk into that chat room, or they send that message to the host, that the host is going to respond and say, you know what? I believe you. That's what it takes, is all of us coming together. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking at things with rose-colored glasses. Anybody else?
I think it takes normal people making it okay. There are so many people, if you're just in their space and you're talking about this, that they get in a huff and they don't want to hear it. It really touches off a lot of fear and anxiety, and we talk about the mainstream media and Psychop and the government, etc., putting us down, but people are terrified of this information, and you have to show yourselves, if you're an abductee, show yourself as a person who is okay. Nothing, this is your story. It doesn't have to be their story. You've learned what you've learned. You know what you know. You're surviving. You're getting along. And it doesn't mean that next Tuesday at 3 o'clock the aliens are going to come and do the same thing to somebody who's never had it happen to them before. That's the main thing, is that this really brings up a lot of primal fear. It touches in with the primal fear that people have of being in a physical body in ways that most people never even think about. They never even think that people are afraid to be in this world where all sorts of bad stuff can happen. But alien abduction will bring that up. So until we get over people being afraid, just as people, I don't know how easy it will be. That's just my opinion.
Preacher Joe, hop on in here, guys. This is a roundtable, man.
That's a pretty good point, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually. I'm not going to say my question because you didn't ask, but that was involved with one of my questions. Is how many people out there are actually having profound experiences right now? You know that they're afraid to say something. I mean, if you look at the Travis Walton case and all of the stuff he did and all the things he went through, and it almost ruined his life too. I mean, the government didn't really try to come down on him like they did this guy, but it seems like it's a no-win. I mean, there's got to be people out there just keeping this stuff to themselves that are just afraid to say anything about it because they know they're going to get shunned.
All the time. I can tell you that for a fact. All the time. Because when they come to us for help, these are people that come to Forest Moon, for example, that have been dealing with things since childhood and finally got to the point where they couldn't handle it no more. They come to us, we take care of it. And they find so much peace now, they don't know what to do. But there are, I can guarantee there's thousands of people that go through things that don't know where to turn. And some of them, when they turn to some team that is a crackerjack team and doesn't know what to do either, and they leave them. They don't help them. They leave them. They get their picture. They get their proof, and they go away. And now you got a client that is still stuck, even more terrified now, and still doesn't know where to turn. So that kind of goes with the question.
And the other thing I have to say is it really does come down to people, and people, not just the media. I've had an experience where even recently, in the past couple of years, I had a family member who shunned me because she was afraid of aliens. And she did a lot of things when we were kids. She knew the aliens were coming in. She did a lot of things when we were kids to shun me, to be able to stay away from me, which really hurt me. But she did it again when we were adults, when, I have an agreement that I don't get abducted, but yet I can see my kids, and I have a friend that I work with, and they can come within 2 miles of me. And that's okay. I'm all right with that. And when I was living up on the mountain, it was every Monday or Tuesday night, I would get a visit from my son and my friend, and I forgot to tell my sister. And my sister's highly aware and highly intuitive. And my son decided he might like to meet his aunt, so he tried to go to her cabin on the ranch and say hello. And she freaked out so bad. And then she laid into me the next morning because there were aliens in my space, and how could I possibly do that? She sees them like they're demonic. Her fear is so primal and so deep that her nephew, who lives with the aliens, is demonic in her eyes. And she knows better than that, but she doesn't in the moment know better than that. And it was a terrible day. The next day was a terrible day. And until people can get over their fear, and until we don't necessarily give too much credence to the people who are promoting this fear, or promoting the demonology aspect, and until we really start being very specific about what we report, how we report it, we're going to have issues like this, and it's not going to be safe. You can't go to your clergyman, you can't go to a mental health worker, you can't go to your boss the next day. I'm sorry, it's not going to happen until we're exceedingly clear about what we're reporting and how we're reporting it. And people who, like me, just get up keep reporting, just get up, keep reporting, and being very clear. Sorry.
That makes me wonder, Dave, when you first saw Carl the alien, like, I hear you talking about it all the time, but like, what was your first knee-jerk reaction when you first had an experience? Was it fear?
When I saw Carl, the first feeling that I had was, am I seeing what I'm seeing? Then it was an absolute, after I realized that I was seeing what I was seeing, and then there were these giant big black eyes staring at me from outside my window, it was an OF moment. Like OH, and I jumped back in my chair because it startled me. And, that whole scenario, I mean, you have to realize that whole scenario lasted probably the longest 2 to 3 seconds of my life when that happened. And when I straightened myself up from my chair, it's kind of like when you get startled. Somebody jumps around the corner and goes, boo! That kind of startling. And you kind of jump back. That's what it was like. And when I put my eyes back on the window, he was gone. And when I stood up to look out the window, there is no way he could have got away from me that fast without me seeing anything. I can't believe how fast they are. But fear, there was a little bit. I can admit that. There was a little bit of fear in regards to why did that happen? Why me? Oh my goodness, am I going to be taken? Because at that point, I don't recall ever being taken. What does he want with me? And that's when I called our Keith Andrews after the show. He still laughs at me about that. We were talking about it just the other day. Right? So it does happen.
I just don't know why it's not happening to me, I guess. Because everybody says, be careful what you wish for. You hear that all the time, right? But I really want some validation on this. I mean, the only thing I've ever seen are lights move in the sky, and that was enough for me. But to see a physical being, I've had all kinds of experiences with things not in this realm, out of body, astral realm type stuff, but in this physical realm, it's almost like everybody else in the paranormal field's getting to see all this stuff and do all this stuff. And I don't get much, I guess that's why I'm a little skeptic about the Romanik thing,
Don't blame you. Don't blame you. Let's move on to another question here. Preacher, you got yours ready.
Yeah, I got one. What if they could come up with the magic frequency or whatever it's going to take to have reliable contact with the afterlife, like a spirit cell phone, would that really be a good thing?
No, because when you have a spirit that comes through that cell phone, you don't know what else is going to come through that cell phone you don't want to deal with.
Well, let's just say it's the technology is to the point where maybe it's DNA activated. You can contact people down your ancestral line through your DNA. Somehow we figured out how to weed out the demonic or the non-human presence and identify what's coming through. Would it be that great an idea to take that barrier down?
I don't see what would hurt anything if that was the case, and if you were 100% sure it was straight DNA activated spirit.
Well, that kind of take the I don't know. It seems to me that on one hand, yeah, it'd be nice to be able to talk to dear departed Aunt Martha or whatever, but on the same token, isn't part of what makes our relationships precious is knowing that there's a point where it's going to stop?
Yes and no. I mean, take it a step further. If they had, Uncle Bob didn't pass over because he was stuck, Aunt Gertrude could say, well, I know Uncle Bob left, but he's not here. And then you could get a team in to, pull Uncle Bob across, for example. But as far as taking the precious moments away, it's a matter of you don't have to pick up the phone. But the option is there.
Well, I look at how technology. Okay, it used to be people would have to either write a letter, or if they wanted to get face to face, reunions, things like that. Now, I've got friends I haven't seen ever. I've got friends that I haven't seen in years because we get the whole Facebook thing, and it's sort of, to me, it seems like it's detracting from the human experience. And if you have a situation where anytime you want, you can call grandma up, I don't.
Especially when you forget that
working toward that.
Especially when you forget that recipe. Give grandma that phone call. What is that spice you used? What is it? How many times should you roll the cabbage rolls? I tell you.
I was just thinking that, Dave.
Oh, my goodness. My grandma.
Are you speaking about, like, if your grandmother has passed and you want to speak to her on the other side? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it can be done reliably.
You can do that.
We got Elizabeth for that.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I'm talking without. I mean, okay, you can use a medium, but I'm saying if it could be just as convenient as having a cell phone or a computer or a tablet or an iPhone, it's the app, the Afterlife app. You could just reliably
I don't know about convenience, but
call in.
I mean, if you can learn the techniques of astral travel and learn how to go through the certain planes, which is kind of tough at first, but once you start doing it, the Monroe Institute is totally dedicated to that, and he's ran into his father and all kinds of people. It's there if you want to do it. You might find that their consciousness is different, and they may not be or act as you would expect them to, but you could definitely do it. I believe that.
Can I weigh in on this, since I've done that, since I was one of those
Absolutely.
spirit mediums who called up people that all the time. I still have not been able to translate perfectly the crust on my grandmother's chocolate turnovers for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I refuse to use Crisco and I want to use butter. I don't know. She's from the South. It's got to be Crisco. I can't do it. But the fact of the matter is,
right on.
You can do this, but it will be like Facebook, which is it will take you away from your living world. And I had friends in the living after 2 years, 3 years of me doing this in the late 90s saying, we think you're spending a little bit too much time with the dead. And there's a point to that, because there are things about my life that maybe I could have been doing in the living world that I wasn't doing. And, I don't really care now because it's all water under the bridge and we come here to learn what we come here to learn. But everybody doing that, I will tell you, there is a physical need for grieving, that people don't want to do it. They're mad that they have to do it. They're mad that their loved ones are gone. But you have to go through that physical stage of a person physically being gone. And if we had a phone that you could just call them back up again, it would be so damaging to the grieving process, you have no idea.
Can I throw another caveat in here for a minute, Elizabeth? Because I'm curious to get your angle on this. If we had that technology that Preacher's talking about, and I think it would be great, what does this mean for mankind?
Well, if we had that technology, what we would have is such a refined receiver that we actually would be, in terms of physics, having an amazing view of the cosmology of the universe. I get that.
But what I'm asking though is, what does that do to society? Because when you confirm life after death, what's the point? You don't like that guy over there because he kissed your girlfriend, you kill him. There's no more punishment. There's nothing, because it doesn't matter. If you go sit in prison, you kill yourself and wait for the next one to happen. That's what I'm saying. It has the ability, in my opinion, and sure, maybe I'm over-exaggerating and everything, but it would have the ability to turn everybody into this whole planet into an anarchic state, worse than what we see it now, because there would be no value to this thing we call life.
Well, look how superficial human relationships have gotten just over being able, texting. There are people that will literally sit at the same table and text back and forth instead of talk. I thought it was a joke, but I have actually seen
happens at my
people
house.
do that.
Happens at my house.
So if we cheapen our living, day-to-day human interactions, and then we could cheapen the memory of our loved ones that have passed because we could just dial them up on our iPhones. What's that going to do to our society as a whole?
Well, like you said, no more than it is now. It might destroy some religions when they realize there's no heaven or hell. It's just an afterlife.
Oh, you're such a John Lennon song. You're such a John Lennon song.
Definitely take away from the mystery for sure. And life is a mystery, and that's the beautiful thing about life. I think in my experience of astral travel, a lot of these beings that have passed or trapped or whatever, they want to live again. Life might actually be the most beautiful thing in the entire universe in both realities. But that may be a stretch as well. But I'm starting to believe that.
I agree. You can't learn if you don't have mystery to learn from. And part of life is that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And part of the reason, even as a psychic and as a medium, when Christ was talking about not doing readings for people, he really was pointing out the fact that, you know what? Live your day in the awareness that you don't know what's going to happen. And if you do it well, it's the right thing. If you follow basic principles of goodness, of kindness, of compassion, of caring for each other, it's going to be the right thing and it'll turn out well. Instead of having this anxiety, a lot of people want to see psychics because they're anxious and they want to control the future. That's not really where it's at either. So the mystery is, in terms of the big lesson, in terms of why we do any of this, it is for the mystery. I agree with Joe 100%.
All right, let's move on to the next question. Joe Roop, you're the rookie around here. You're up for your question.
Oh, it's more of a UFO question, and I hope you guys are familiar with it. But based on what I've seen, because since this Romanek thing has happened, I've went around and tried to find other stories to see if the government was trying to pummel these other people as well. And do you guys think that the door opening on the Assetti Ranch and all that stuff is real? You guys know what I'm talking about?
No, explain.
James Gilliland's ranch?
Yeah.
Oh, I saw that video. You know what? Maybe not. But I mean, there's all kinds of look at Mount Shasta and the stories about the Hollow Mount Shasta. We have a mothership that hovers over Mount Baker.
I've seen that ship. I have seen that ship, Coop. Because here's the funny part about Mount Baker. It's the last volcano that actually looks like a volcano. And my view from my old backyard, I had the $1 million view if that thing blew, man. So I was looking at it from the north. Cooper's looking at it, I believe, from the south. Right, Coop?
Yeah, yep.
So you could actually see at times. At one time, Samantha Mowat was actually over at my house, Coop. And we were sitting on the patio, and we watched. There were 5 of us on the patio, including my daughters. Okay, and we counted 5 ships on Mount Baker at once.
Oh, there's ships. I mean, one of our scientists lives over in Glacier. She's right on the other side, right next to Baker. She deals with lights all the time. I mean, all the time. So James Gillian's ranch, the door opening. It might have been hoaxed. It might have been, but the fact of the matter is, there's doorways like that all over the place. Himalayans, the Himalayans have a base and ships over in the Himalayas all the time. Mount Baker, Mount Rainier has the draconian race that lives inside the mountain. I mean, we should go on and on, but did that particular one? They happened to catch it on video. I wasn't impressed with the video, but it could have been a door opening.
I mean, there's people going out there and other radio hosts as well going out there and investigating this thing. There's people sitting by it, watching it, and nothing's happening, man. And when you look at the market on this thing, I mean, this guy's got a lot of, from what I've seen, books, DVDs for sale. I'm not saying he's not telling the truth, but why is it so hard in this field to get solid freaking evidence? It amazes me.
But what is
Sometimes
evidence?
It really does.
But what is evidence? What is
To me,
evidence?
To me, evidence is it's something that's self-evident that you could show me, right? Put it in my face, right? I can't explain astral travel. I can't scientifically approve it. And I know I've done it. There's no way that I could give you scientific evidence for that. But as far as ships flying around and aliens visit us and stuff, oh, man, somebody has got to have something. I mean, can't we trap one of these things like they did on Game of Thrones, like tackle one of them and chain it up and bring it somewhere or something?
But I'm going to get into this because I love this conversation. I'm going to debate you here for a second. And please, everyone, feel free to jump on Joe because he is the new guy.
Here we go.
All right.
I will.
There is more evidence supporting UFOs out there and aliens out there than would be needed to charge and convict someone of murder. We have people being convicted. One second, Eric. We have people being convicted of murder without a weapon. So if the weapon is the alien, okay, just trade the alien for the weapon. You have that much evidence. So when people say proof, we need proof. What proof do you have? Okay, here's an example. We have had many, many people, from Bob Lazar to Travis Walton to lesser-known people, go in front and take a polygraph test, okay, saying their stories are 100% real. And yet we have people like Stanton Friedman, who will be on this show next month, by the way, who says Bob Lazar is a fake, even though Bob Lazar passed the polygraph. Okay?
Well, my question isn't, is there proof? What is it going to take to prove it? To, like you guys were talking about, the mainstream media and all this.
You need a crash ship that you can still make function with a dead alien inside. That's what you need.
And that won't happen. Okay, so like Keith is saying in the chat room, we have alien races captured by the government. Now, is that going to get out? No, because the government's got it. We had Roswell. We've had Kecksburg. We've had the alien, the Roswell in Russia. We've got all kinds of crash spacecraft throughout history.
But we don't have them. You and I don't.
I'm not saying that I don't believe in proof, because I do. I believe the Travis Walton story. I believe a lot of other stories. But as many investigative crews as there are, and all this, somebody had to have stumbled upon something that we can snatch up and say, look, here it is, without the government ever getting involved, you know?
The problem is, without it happening, Kecksburg happened in a remote area, a rural area. Roswell happened out in the middle of the desert, away from Roswell's just the closest place, that's on the map that has a name that it happened. It's, you can't, video is not evidence anymore. You can't trust photographs. I mean, it's going to take one of these things, doing a crash landing on the Vegas Strip, or, it's going to have, something is going to have to happen in a populated area where so damn many people see it when it happens that it can't be hushed up. I mean,
there's the answer to my question then.
If the DC, what was 1957? If the DC flyover back in the 50s didn't, if that didn't convince people that there was something going on, what will?
And
are we just going to live in denial? I mean,
even the McMinnville, Oregon UFO that was undisputed, and back then they couldn't fake pictures. Today everything's fake. it's easy to look at video, CGI and whatnot, and see what's fake. So when the real thing's going to come out, it's going to be said as fake. And that's part of the problem. Because there's so many fakers out there that who's to say what's real?
Well, like I said, it's going to happen in a populated area. It's going to have to take the will of the off-worlders. They're going to have to disclose. They're going to have to make that. They're going to have to make that step, or take that step where they say, okay, they're just going to have to do it in such a way that it can't be denied or called a publicity stunt. Our Keith Andrews says it's happened in public already, but people they don't want to accept it.
Right.
And I think it's just going to have to be this overwhelming. It's going to happen to a point where there's a critical mass of people that are going to have to see it, and then it'll be.
It did happen. It did happen in Phoenix.
It happened in Phoenix.
Happened in Phoenix, and then there was another attempt to get us a crashed UFO, to get experiencers a crashed UFO. There was another one in the 90s, which I don't talk about a lot, that failed. But that's what you need to have, that physical proof, and that physical proof is exceedingly dangerous for somebody who wants to try to get that. Not from the aliens, it's from our government. And, and it has to go through the right channels, and then, somebody is basically sacrificing the rest of their life if they do that. So
what are the right channels, though, is what I'm saying. Like, I heard a guy on the show the other night say, I would call the law for protect. That's the last thing I would do, is call the cops.
You wouldn't call the cops. You'd have to go to an academic institution where you knew people who knew you, and you would still basically never be able to leave the room you were in or the facility that you went into, because the government would come down on you. And first you'd have to go fly that thing over the biggest baseball game. It'd have to be October kind of thing, and you'd have to fly it over all of these big events, and then you'd have to go put it someplace, and you would be sacrificing the rest of your life for that one thing. So it's not that it's not been thought of what you need to do. It's who really wants to do that.
Mm-hmm. Way to ruin it for us, Liz.
I'm calling Dave Scott. So if it happens to me, I'm calling Dave.
Oh, sure. Everybody else blames me, so why not? Why not? Liz, let's get to your first question of the night.
Well, mine is more prosaic. It's really about it's really about, there was this is for Eric Cooper, really. It's about how many times have you had people have ghosts show up on security cameras, because there was an event in New Mexico where it looks like a ghost is walking in front of the house on a security camera. Have you ever had that happen?
Personally, I've never had it happen. Now, I've seen evidence from clients where we saw orbs. We didn't see an apparition or nothing like that. But, I mean, we have an active case that will never get closed, and she's in the group. And she has orbs that, I mean, they morph, they shift, they jump around, almost on command, all the time. So I consider those spirits. But then you can go into the whole discussion about orbs in general. But I've seen evidence through the client's documentation. Me personally have never seen one, but I think it's quite common.
Cool. Anybody else?
I think the problem that we're going to have, and I'll play devil's advocate here, is the problem that we're going to have is we're going to have too many people, and I already saw it today, somebody online with their radio show that's apparently on Facebook Live, breaking down that video, talking about how fake it looked. Right? You weren't there. You don't know. And too many times we have too many people out there giving that opinion as fact. Oh, that's fake because look at this or look at that. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know. But I don't blame them for having that attitude, because That's what we're used to now. That's what we're trained now to look for. Okay, that's the average public doesn't care, and we want to be that first person to absolutely say, "Nah, that's garbage. That's not real. That's CGI. That's somebody running around in a bed sheet." You know what I'm saying? Because I looked at the video. I think that it does look like someone wearing a bed sheet. I'm not sure of it. I've only seen it twice. I'd like to look at it a little bit more in depth. But when videos like that come out, and once again, if you listen to the newscast that it was on, you had the X-Files theme song again, just like we talked about in the first hour, and that type of garbage. So, we have to, to play devil's advocate on this topic. I don't think it's conclusive, but I do believe those people because they don't look like the type of people who would be looking for that 15 minutes of paranormal fame.
Yeah, I get that. I tend to believe those people more, too. They're not trying to sell anything. They're not trying to push anything. They experience something. They're showing it to you. And I tend to believe those people more. But, I'm a natural skeptic at this, though. Keep in mind.
Oh, I got to give a shout out real quick. We got Bonnie in the chat, in the Spreaker chat, and she's part of the Forest Moon Astral team. So, good to see you in the chat room, Bonnie.
I noticed that too. About time you come back, Bonnie.
She's been trying to get in.
Good.
She's been talking to me on Facebook chat.
Good. Very good. Very good. All right. Liz, do you think that video is real or fake?
I didn't think the people were fake. I didn't think the woman talking on the news had any alternative agenda or reason. I think, they came across as, oh, well, this happened. We just wanted to show people, and to me, their demeanor spoke more than the video. I didn't have my glasses on when I looked at it. I looked at it a couple times. But my sense of her was that she was an honest person who was forthright and forthcoming. So I thought it was real.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Anybody else on this topic before we move on? I'm going to go with another crime story then as I ask question number 2 of mine tonight. Former Spaced Out Radio guest Sean David Morton and his wife Melissa were convicted on tax fraud charges. They then didn't bother showing up for their trial. They were skipping town for about 61 days, so just over 2 months. They were arrested just a couple of days ago. And because of these fraud charges, Sean could face or tax evasion, whatever you want to call them. The IRS really doesn't like that in the United States, much the same here with the Canadian Revenue Agency. He faces 700 years in prison for tax fraud. So my question is, in regards to this, number one, how do you sentence someone for 700 years? I don't understand that, America. I just don't get that. How about a life sentence? Can we just call it a life sentence rather than, giving somebody 700-800 years? Because when they die, you actually take them out of the jail. Sure, they go into the jail cemetery, but you take them out of the jail, so they're not really serving the time. But number 2, Sean David Morton was a pretty big name in the field of the paranormal with his self-admitted psychic abilities. Some people found him very brash. Other people found him very accurate. But like the Stan Romanek case here, does this tarnish the image of what psychics do or people who are very outspoken about this field of conspiracy, of psychic ability, of UFOs, aliens? Let's get you, preacher. You haven't spoken in a while.
I think it does. You get these people that become the media darling I don't know if anybody remembers the one that was on the Sci-Fi Channel, but then, everybody was touting him, and I'm leaving him nameless because I'm not sure what you can get away with, but I mean, and it turns out he's a fraud. And then for every legitimate person that, a psychic that can find the missing person, or for every legitimate one working behind the scenes without the glory, without the recognition, you got these jackasses that are all over TV and all the other media outlets, or channeling Michael Jackson 3 days after he died. It just makes everything in the field look like a circus sideshow. It takes away, it doesn't take, our expression in the military was one aw crap wipes out a dozen attaboys, and all it takes is that one or two of these discredited psychics or Uri Geller types, and they're all, everybody who has any kind of ability does, even if they're legitimate, gets painted with the same brush.
Well, and ideally, that's when we get the GPI kicked off. It's going to straighten things out, hopefully, to an extent. It's going to take a while, but and I completely agree with you. You hear too much celebrity crap. You hear too much, look at me, and it that's what ruins the field.
True that. And in the same case as Stan Romanek, you have the case of ego with Sean David Morton as well. And that was the reason why a lot of people started taking them off their shows. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind having him on. I thought he was very knowledgeable. I thought it was very cool to have him on. He was a big fan of the show. He listened every night. I would get messages from him, telling me how much he's loving the show that night. And, I wish him well. I hope that he's able to find, some peace in what he's doing. I never want to see people go through that, but just because he treated me well doesn't mean that, he didn't have his own demons that he was fighting behind the scenes. Everybody has them.
Well, does it grab anybody else's attention that you can go to prison for 700 years for screwing the government out of money?
Well,
but you can go through, in the state of Tennessee, you can kill somebody in the heat of passion.
Yeah, crime of passion. Yep.
And
you're out.
9 years later, if you keep your nose clean and you behave, you've taken a human life, and with pretty much, I've seen them as much as 2-3 years get back out of prison. But you screw the government out of a few, a little money, and I just, the idea that the money is more important than living human beings kind of nauseates me.
Does me too, man. I agree with you there.
And that's where you see the corruption of the criminal justice system and of the government in general. Is when don't touch a politician's money. Oh my God, you might die. But it's okay to chill. That shows where the society is. That shows where the government is. Because society allows it to happen. I'll say that much. Because if it was a big deal to society, they would have stood up and that goes with division. The division you see in the country today. They have to keep the country divided because if the whole country got together on one voice, the government would fall. That's hands down. This country got past the race issue, got past, let's take down some historical monuments because they're evil now, all of a sudden, which causes even more riots and death now. I mean, they're talking about, not Sacramento, there's another riot about to happen in California, I think in a day or two.
Did you guys see in Ontario, there's two things I'm going to bring up to the point that you just brought up, and I'm not getting very political here, but this pisses me off, and I'm going to bring it up, and this is my show. In the province of Ontario, they actually petitioned the government to get rid of the name John A. Macdonald on elementary schools in the province. Now, John A. Macdonald is our first prime minister. And the reason why they want to get rid of him, the Ontario School Teachers Union had a vote on this. And the unicorns aren't liking their answer right now because the government did the smart thing and said, no, we're not getting rid of the father of this land. Okay, but they were petitioning because, let's face it, during that time, when it was the English, I'm giving you a little Canadian history here. English versus French, the English kicked the butts of the French, okay, and I still don't think the French have ever won a war, okay?
No, they're too short.
No, exactly. All right. So the English then, as they were moving west, of course, they took territory, and everybody knows in North America, the white man was not very pleasant to the First Nations people. So now we're going back 200 plus years and saying because we weren't nice to them, we need to now get rid of our prime minister's name, our first prime minister's name, on every school in the province of Ontario. Now, the government voted that down. I'm surprised our unicorn prime minister didn't push for that, right? Or, I believe it's in Australia now. Here's another one. I don't know if any of you saw this. I don't know if it's fake news or not. I'm hoping it isn't. But now they want to get rid of Father's Day, not Mother's Day, Father's Day, and call it Special Persons Day. So you keep Mother's Day, but they want to get rid of Father's Day and keep it Special Persons Day because so many kids out there don't have a dad. They have a grandfather or an aunt, or maybe it's a lesbian relationship or something along those lines. Where does this bullshit stop? Pardon my language. Where does this crap stop?
The other thing is, okay, I did want to talk about Sean David Morton, but this has really annoyed me because I have family members who are black, and my family is from the South, and I got so much crap this week because I was like, why are you worried about a statue of Robert E. Lee? Because he was a traitor. No, that has nothing to do with anything. You weren't worried about him a month ago. You weren't worried about him. You weren't worried about the banks not issuing credit for home loans for black families in the 80s and the 90s. You weren't worried about issues of equality before all of a sudden some KKKers came up and started to rally around a statue of Robert E. Lee. You know what? If you think it's going to be a win to remove a statue in any way in terms of racism and equality in this country, please go home, because for those of us who have black family members and have had black friends our whole entire life, we know that the issues are so ingrained and so deeply rooted, and we have to watch people struggle with it every single day, that a simple statue and some miscreant KKKers is not, if you win this particular thing and make them run for the hills today, it does not mean that the bank is going to issue a home equity line of credit so they can fix their house in their community. It does not mean that they will get money for schools. It does not mean that they will have environmental protection. It does not mean that my little brother will not be at risk for profiling when he is a really darn good kid. It doesn't mean any of that. So please shut up, because you're making my brain want to explode. I'm sorry, that's my last word on this.
Thank you. Char makes a comment in the Spreaker chat. She says, what about, or because they're deadbeat dads, because of deadbeat dads. You know what about the deadbeat moms?
Yeah, right on.
What about, I've been, time out a second, and I love Char.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
I'm not going to beat her up too bad on this one. No pun intended. Don't take that. I'm saying it verbally, okay? Okay? I've been a single dad, okay? My ex-wife, who left me for another guy, okay, gave me my daughter. I had my daughter with me for 4 years, all right? I've been a single dad. Her mom didn't pay me a cent, not a cent. In fact, somehow she wiggled it out in the Canadian courtroom that I still had to pay her child support, even though my daughter was living with me. Go figure on that. All right? Mm-hmm. I'd buy my daughter, one year I bought her 4 pairs of Nike gym shoes. Now up here, Nikes are about $110 a pair. She'd go to her mom's and come back with these Converse ripoffs that you could get from Walmart. 4 pairs of shoes. Guess who had the same shoe size? Okay? Deadbeat mothers are equal to deadbeat dads. Dads get the brunt of it because that's the way it's always been in society. Okay?
Yep.
Okay? Somehow my ex-wife leaving me for another man cost me $10,000 cash, $625 a month until it jumped to $800, plus $25,000 for my lawyer's fee. She left me. And then she pawned my daughter off on me for 4 years. I don't put up with that woman's crap, okay?
Yeah, I'm dealing with the same thing.
Okay, I do not put up with that. Okay, the court system is rigged against single dads. Rigged against single dads. Okay, because it doesn't matter. I know a guy right now, okay, he mentioned it on the air when he stopped in a couple of weeks ago on Jamie Stexton's show. Ronald Murphy. His wife picked up and left him with 5 kids. Ron is salt of the earth. But because of the laws in Pennsylvania where his education is higher than hers, even though he was a stay-at-home dad, you know what his ex-wife pays for child support? 5 kids. She pays $98 a month for 5 kids. $98 a month. If that isn't crooked, if the role was reversed, Ronald would be paying probably around $2,000 a month. Okay? None of this because of deadbeat dads. There's deadbeat moms out there too. I'm sorry, I'm a little sensitive on that. Shar, that isn't directed at you. It's directed at the comment. Much love to you, Shar. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We have 1 hour left on the Paranormal Roundtable. We're going to bring it down a notch because old Davey apparently needs to calm down here. We'll be right back with the panel and hour number 3. Liz, I don't know if you're sticking around or not, but hopefully you do. I like you around here. Plus, you're the token lady around here. We'll be back right after this break.
We're getting strange on Saturday nights. Hi there, this is Dave Cruz, and each Saturday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, I will take you on a tour of the weird and obtuse on Spaced Out Saturdays, from aliens to Sasquatch and every tinfoil hat in between. We got you covered. Join us at spacedoutradio.com for Spaced Out Saturdays. See you there.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on spacedoutradio.com.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there. I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4 Cop. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Dave Cruz is back in the cabin here, hosting Spaced Out Saturdays, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Then on Sunday, it's Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Sundays. Same time, same place at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network on 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. Good to have you with us. We're live on KTLK, The Fringe FM, Renegade Talk Radio out of Las Vegas, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to freedomslips.com and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Sesquipedalian. Let me try that again. Sesquipedalian is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, because Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, you could do so on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect with me live during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott. SOR. We're also on iHeartRadio in the United States, TalkStream Live, TuneIn, and you can download and subscribe to our iTunes channel, Spaced Out Radio. We'd appreciate if you did. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read the encounter online. And don't forget, we got some great videos from UFO seekers Tim Doyle and Leslie Mitchell Clark's Contact TV as well. Everything at spacedoutradio.com. We bring in the panel tonight on the SOR Paranormal Roundtable. We do it the final Friday of every month. We got the preacher Eric Markham from SOR. We have Eric Cooper from S4 and Force Moon Paranormal. From Spaced Out Sundays, Cosmic Passport, Elizabeth Anglin. And the man with the fine-looking hair tonight, Joseph Roop from KTLK's Lighting the Void. Welcome back, crowd.
Howdy. Good to be here.
Oh, it's always good to have you guys here. So, I do apologize getting a little heated near the last hour. I do. That's the Canadian in me. I will apologize for that. Maybe I shouldn't, but I'm going to.
No, it made me feel better, actually, to hear somebody say that.
Don't apologize.
All right.
Don't apologize.
All right. So anyways, I know there's a lot of deadbeat moms out there. There's a lot of deadbeat dads out there. Let's just blame the deadbeat. If we're going to be politically correct about anything, let's just blame the deadbeat, because you don't do that to your kid. You don't do that to your kid, and you don't turn your kid against the other parent. I don't give a care what you think about them. You just don't do that. Anyways, let's move on here. Elizabeth, are you sticking around, or how you feeling? Because I know you're having a rough one.
I'm having a whoa. Well, I did want to talk about Sean David Morton, because
you go. We never really finished that.
We never really finished that. We went off on a tangent. So my feelings about him are, he actually defrauded the IRS of like $432,000. I don't think 700 years makes any difference whether it's life in prison or not life in prison. It just means he can never, ever, ever get out. But when I heard him on your radio show, I understand that he was kind to you, but the way he talked about being a psychic and the way he talked about being a researcher, I literally was biting my tongue saying, be nice in the chat room, be nice in the chat room, be nice in the chat room, be nice in the chat room. Because I felt that he was a fraud. I didn't feel that he was really as psychic as perhaps some people think he is. I didn't feel that he had knew as well the people that he was name dropping as he said he did. I didn't feel that he had ever necessarily been to Archuleta Mesa, which is in Dulce. He was calling it Dulce Mesa. And it was like, so for me, well, I'm sorry about his kitty cats, and I'm sorry that he's going through this. If you literally write a letter to the IRS saying that you are owed $432,000 when you are not, do you not expect the big giant head slap? I mean, you're a psychic, for God's sake. What are you doing? So that's my opinion about Sean David Morton. And he does make psychics look bad. So.
All right, let's move on to a more positive question. Let's get to you, Cooper. Fire away.
Oh, God. Let's see here. So what alien races can astral?
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah.
I know your beard can.
What alien races can what?
Astral travel.
Oh, astral travel.
Some can't. So some cannot. I know for a fact the reptilians can, the greys can, the mantids can, because we dealt with them. And the slug race, which I have no idea what the name is. I know our Keith Andrews probably does. But they look kind of like the creature in Tremors. They go underground. I know those 4 can, because we've dealt with them in Astral. Anyone have any more ideas?
You're going to hate this answer.
Uh-huh.
Anything that has a soul or spirit can astral travel.
And I agree with that, but not all of them do have souls.
Well, if you're a robot, perhaps you can't.
What makes you say that some of them don't have souls? That some of these beings don't have spirits?
Because I start to hear the hissing of the devil in the background for people who are saying animals don't have souls. It's like, oh yeah, they do.
Like hell. I know they do.
Yeah. So what? Yeah. What makes you say that some don't have souls? I mean, are they mechanical? That's my question.
Well, even if they're mechanical, don't you get to a point where if you look at how a human body and a human brain operates, it's a meat robot powered by chemicals. And we have a soul. Who's to say that an appropriately advanced mechanical creation hasn't evolved? Maybe a soul is something you evolve into. Maybe sentience creates the soul, or consciousness. You go from being that robot to a life form in your own right. Just because you're mechanical wouldn't necessarily mean, or because your origins were mechanical, you wear a different kind of suit to carry a soul around in.
I mean, if you're talking about the alchemy, if you're talking about the alchemy of the evolution of the soul and into a divine being or something, I could go with that. But as far as like robots becoming sentient, maybe, but having a soul, I don't know about that.
Well, what would separate? What I'm saying is, if you take a human being, just if you were to see, if you weren't human, say you were another life form, and you look at a human, its basic constituency, the way it operates, without being able to see inside the mind, to only be able to see how that mind does things, you're going to say, meat robot. Now, who's to say that there's not a race of mechanical beings, or a race of beings who maybe they're out of silicon, or they're non-carbon based? We would look at them as mechanisms, and they might just be as sentient and have souls as we do.
The other thing
I'm tapping out on this one.
Is it their learning experience? So, everything has, when you're talking about the evolution of a soul or whether something astral travels, it may be that, over time everything does at some point in whatever incarnation astral travel. And yes, I would agree, Eric. There may be some...
Don't worry, we're just calling Eric Cooper back in.
Okay.
It's not a round table without Cooper's phone going haywire.
At least one, yeah.
It lasts about an hour and a half, and my beard wraps around it or something. I don't know.
It's like a jellyfish. Let's get
to
Elizabeth.
Now,
one sec,
real
Coop.
quick.
Coop, one sec, because I want Elizabeth to finish her thought.
So it may not be that they can't, but it may be that it's not part of their learning experience. In that particular incarnation is that particular race, or it's something that race does. So, for example, why are not all human beings psychic? In my opinion and experience, all human beings have the ability to be psychic, and they have the ability to be specifically psychic, especially if they practice a lot. But very few people do. So is it that human beings can't? Or is it that it's not part of the learning experience of the human race as a whole at this time? And that might be something that's similar for alien races, that there may be races out there that are not astral traveling, or only a few of them, members of that race, are because they've come upon it and it's something that they are enjoying learning to do, or are the vanguards of learning to do that. So I think that maybe I'm arguing with the semantics of the question, is like which ones can't, maybe which ones don't or won't. Does that make sense?
You just actually answered what I was going to say. Because then my phone cut off before I could even talk about souls. And yes, all living things have a soul. That wasn't the point. And you pretty much clarified what I was going to say. Is that everything's got a soul. I agree with that. Other than like what RQ said in the chat, is if they are some kind of a robot, some kind of an inorganic being. Now, with that though, not all races have the know-how to astral.
Right.
The races we have dealt with, specifically in the battle that we had with the 5 races about 4 or 5 months ago now, was with the reptilian semantids, some kind of energy being, which I'm not really sure what race that was. So reptilians are known to travel to astral often. There are races that travel more often than others. Some of them you don't see in the astral. Was more or less kind of where I was going with that. And is it that they don't need to? Could be the other possibility with that one. Because why astral if your craft can actually go through wormholes and get you just as fast, with your technology versus astral?
Maybe it's recreational.
It could be.
I don't think we're talking marijuana here.
No, but I practice, I try to project, I try to leave my body every time I lay down. I have been doing so for over 20 years. I have yet to accomplish it. But I don't stop. I don't, but I don't know what I'm doing, how to do it. And I've got the kind of brain it's never quiet. Even if I get drunk off my butt, I think that actually makes it get faster. So I can't get that calm mind that supposedly you need to have to do this. But I try. And I think it would just be fantastic to just the sensation of being free of body. So maybe there's no other purpose for it than to feel, depending on the race that's doing it, that might just be there, smoking a J. It says a chemical intoxicant, they fly out of their body for a while.
It's fun.
It is fun, man. But Preacher, have you tried any of the Monroe techniques from Robert Monroe?
I'm not sure if I have or not. I've tried a bunch over the years, starting with the Llewellyn Guide back in the 70s. So I've been doing this for more than 20 years. I've been trying to do it I'm 54, probably since about the time I was 12 or 13. And I think a few times I've come close, and maybe a few times I have, as part of being, once I go to sleep. But to have that lucent experience,
Thing is, with sleep, it could be dream travel versus astral. And there is a difference. Dream travel, you can actually go hopping through people's dreams, which you'll remember in the morning as seeing someone you didn't know. And astral is you're leaving your body going to a different place. Now, what we are going to do, because the October class we're doing is a more advanced astral school, where you have to know astral prior. We're teaching more combat skills in astral and defense techniques. What we might do, though, probably later or early part of next year, is doing a basic astral travel school where people that don't know anything about astral, we can help try to get them astral, and they go to advanced school. Because what I'm trying to do with the GPI is, one, enhance our own team, and then as well get astral teams and other paranormal teams. So that's kind of my ultimate goal with the school, because anyone can astral. It's a matter of meditation, I guess, and learning.
Everybody but me. No, I think I have. I remember a few times that where you feel like you're tumbling and you get that sort of vertiginous. But the last time I remember doing that while I was actually awake, probably about 17, 18, and I could see these twisted, hostile looking, it was almost like there were people waiting for me. You know, there was something waiting for my astral form, and that's pretty much, I think, the last time I consciously came close to doing it.
Were they looking
over
you?
Like they were looking straight down. It was almost like it was like being in a, like, okay, if you could sit in a barrel, lay down inside a long barrel and look up, at the opening, at the open end of the barrel were these faces, these twisted looking, almost caricatures of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you know, I picked up the idea that it was, you know, fresh meat, or, you know, that same kind of mentality. It's like, oh boy. And that's the last time I remember consciously. I think I've done it a few times in my sleep, because there's a different timbre to the experience between a dream travel and this, what I think might be astral.
And we've had some team members over the years that they actually, before they could go on a case, had to go home and go to sleep. And that's very basic. Once you get advanced, you can actually consciously astral. You can be awake, and, well, look at Tony. Tony can be working in astral to a case. I mean, we found a missing person here yesterday using astral. And so, you know, the more you use it, the better you get at it, to where you can actually be, I won't say driving because it's kind of dangerous, but working, or, you know, sitting in a park, whatever. You can astral consciously.
Coop, you ever ran into these beings that have like they wear hoods and they almost look like they're wearing white face paint, like pale faces? You ever seen that?
Now,
heard of that?
That would be a question.
Remember that.
That would be, yeah, that would be a question for the team. I don't astral. I just have an astral team.
I'd like to know, because they bother me.
Yeah, Bonnie's
well,
in
that's
the
kind of who I saw. That pale faced, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were, like I said, I just got the impression that they were more Billy Bad than I was, and that I didn't need to tangle with them. And that's pretty much the last time I ever felt like, you know, I've had that tumbling feeling before, but never got past that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
To where I actually saw anything other than complete blackness, the rushing sound, and then that feeling of almost tumbling. That's as far as I've gotten. It's been a while since I did that.
Like slam me, push me, like this person saying in the chat room here, push me back into my body. As I set up, literally just was looking over me, came down, and just pushed me back into my body. As if like, no, you're not getting out. So, yeah, I would be very curious to know what these things are.
Well, okay, in that particular case, maybe a spirit guide, because something would have happened had you asked for it.
Maybe, I don't know. It sure wasn't letting me.
I'm trying to get an answer out of Bonnie if she's ever encountered that being, but I'm not sure where Bonnie went. Right now we have four travelers on the team, and we do about 5 cases a day.
Yeah, I'd like to get into it just because I have enough pent-up rage and anger that if it came down to an astral fight, I think I'd enjoy it.
All right. Let's. Who hasn't asked their second question yet? We all asked our second. Joe, have you asked your second question?
I think so. I think I mixed it in though while we were talking
because
it kind of came up.
You're that guy.
I know I'm going against the grain, but it came up already. You know.
Liz, how about you? Have you got your two questions in so far?
I don't remember how many questions I asked.
I think you're only on one. I think you're only on one. You fire away.
My question was about the eclipse, and it was actually two questions. It was how many of you guys had stuff happen that was beyond the norm or extraordinary or just absolutely different in between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. And then the second part of the question is, what do you think the flat earthers are doing with this eclipse right now? You know, and the fact that the sun is supposedly in front of the moon. Anybody?
They're just going to deny it like they deny any other fact you put in their face. I mean, we had Flat Earth guy on this show, and no matter what evidence you give them, they deny that it's legitimate evidence. So anything that, don't try and confuse them with facts.
And, tomorrow night on S4, we're actually doing a post-eclipse show. We're actually going to talk about what did happen and what didn't happen. And, we're going to kind of pick it apart. I'm not sure if I saw it in the chat or, did someone hear something about a UFO being seen during the night before the eclipse?
I'm sure that's going to happen. I'm sure that's going to happen.
Eric said something.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if I saw it in the chat room or not.
Well, I can tell you point blank, nothing changed on Eclipse Day for me. It was just an ordinary day. Day.
Oh.
I was boring.
Here in Skagit County, they're blaming the eclipse so there's a fish farm in the bay. And the wall collapsed on these containers that hold Atlantic salmon, which are a predatory species of fish. So they've made it an open, free fishing fish for all in the bay because the eclipse tore down the wall. And they said that verbatim in this news story. It's like, really? How in the hell did the eclipse gravitational pull, which if a full moon's never affected it, how the eclipse? I don't think so. But yeah, that's the only kind of funny story I think I've seen about anything being blamed on the eclipse. So now all these people are out fishing in the bay for Atlantic salmon, which, God, I wish I could go fishing. I don't have a boat.
Well, I can tell you this, Atlantic salmon absolutely destroy the Pacific salmon populations. And if they get mixed involved and start breeding, it is very, very dangerous. Because unlike the Pacific salmon, the Atlantic salmon do not die after breeding. They can repopulate a couple of times before their life cycle ends.
Okay.
How's that for now?
That makes sense.
Plus, they carry a different set of parasites on them. I only know this because I'm an avid fisherman. There's something I never really talk about.
Well, you need to get over here and go fishing. Because there's like 40,000 Atlantic salmon that just flooded the bay. And if I had a boat, I'd be out fishing right now. Well, not right now because it's dark, but yeah.
Yeah, me and American fishermen don't get along very well. Because
when they ignore them, so you catch salmon.
Yeah, but I don't. Are you really eating fish? I'll tell you right now. Anybody who is eating salmon or any fish out of the Pacific, you're crazy, crazy with all that radiation from Fukushima coming on. And by the way, on September 7th, I'm going to have a lady named Libby Halevy coming on the show talking about Fukushima and the dangers to the west coast of North America here because of it. So make sure you tune in for that one. Liz, did you get the answer you needed?
Well, I guess so. I was thinking about more personal stuff, but yeah, I guess that's enough.
All right. Good. Everybody's asked their two questions? Because I'm moving on here. Let's go.
Yeah, I believe so.
All right, let's go. My question number 3 is, on August 2nd, as we discussed last night on the show, legendary writer, author, New York Times bestselling author Jim Marrs passed away. And one of the questions I brought up, and I brought it up a couple of times on this show, and I'm curious your reactions to it, panel, is how do we fill the void? And is there really anybody stepping up to fill that void? Because one of the issues that we have in this field is we don't have a lot of young people, and there are a few. There's Jeremy Corbell, who has been on this show, Erica Lukes, Ryan Sprague, just to name a few. Shannon Legro does fantastic work as well, but there are very few who are coming through to do proper research on these topics. Very few. And I believe strongly, as I said to John Goodwin last night, Preacher, I'm going to get you to put your microphone back on mute for a second, please. Thank you. Like I said to John Goodwin last night, I don't believe there are going to be very many replacements because we're having too many of these youngsters come in. Okay, when I say youngsters, I consider myself still a youngster at 44. Okay, but I'm saying from the 20s to mid-40s coming in who are preaching opinion as fact. Elizabeth, let's start with you on this one.
Yeah, I mean, opinion as fact is it's the death knell of ufology, of abduction studies, of everything. Opinion as fact is BS. It's and if we get journalists, if we get kids who have journalism degrees or who have advanced degrees in research who want to go into this field, then I applaud them, or young people who do, or even older people who decide that they want to make a career change, although you won't make any money. By all means, feel free to jump in. I think that it is this idea that anybody in the paranormal is going to make a ton of money off of it or fame is ridiculous. So you might as well do good work for 15 minutes of fame, because your 15 minutes of fame are not going to sustain you, and you'll be working as a Walmart greeter when you get old. So not that that's bad. I had but you're not going to get rich and famous, so might as well do good work. Please. That's all I have to say.
I agree. Phil, he was a legend. He was one of the first authors I started reading back in the 90s when I was getting into ufology and abduction. And you can't fill that. You can't fill that kind of research. You can't fill that kind of man. I mean, you seriously can't. Is anyone going to step up? How? How do you fill those shoes? I mean, seriously.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, because
Right.
I don't see Jim Marrs' family giving up the sources that he had. I think the sources die off unless those sources reach out to somebody else. But the idea of the fact here, Cooper, is the fact, okay, Jim Marrs passed away at 73. Linda Moulton Howe is in her 70s. Stan Friedman is in his 80s. Grant Cameron and Stephen Bassett are in their late 50s, early 60s. Okay, Whitley Strieber is in his late 60s, early 70s. Okay, even if you want to throw Art Bell in there, the legend himself, he's in his 70s. All right? Yeah. So what I'm saying here is, guys, is all of these premier researchers who are on every show, every time, okay, they're all in their late 50s, 60s to 70s to 80s. We have nobody coming up to take over their work. Now, if I was somebody like Stanton Friedman or Linda Moulton Howe or whoever, I would be making damn sure that I had someone behind me to pick up my research when I'm gone. Pick up my sources.
Predecessor.
A predecessor, exactly. But we don't see that happening in this field. And because Liz said there is no money in it, right? There isn't a lot of money in this, especially if you're an author. Just because you're published by a major publisher doesn't mean you're a millionaire like Tom Clancy, who made $1 billion off of his Jack Ryan series. Okay? It's not like that. Right? I was surprised to learn that Nick Redfern struggled. I said, with the amount of books you are putting out a year, you still have a daytime job? And he's like, yeah, I have to. That shocked me. And this is, I think we could all unequivocally say, Nick Redfern, who is in his 50s, okay, is the premier writer of these topics right now.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a good thing, even though he is a good writer. You're right. We do need more people, younger people going after. But I think, I kind of disagree in a way, because I think we have those people that are trying to make moves that are asking us to get behind them. If you take a guy like Jeffrey Boyd Jr., who's, he's going all over the place trying to ask people to get behind him. He has the right attitude. He's willing to put his life on the line to do it. Or Tim Doyle. I didn't agree with everything he said, but his attitude about it, and he's willing to, like he said, I'm willing to go to jail to find these things. I think we should get behind these people more instead of asking them to do so much by themselves. That's just my opinion.
No, I understand that. And there are people who are trying to step up. But has the oversaturation of authors, has the oversaturation of radio shows, YouTube channels affected that next researcher? Preacher, what do you think?
I think in a lot of ways that there might be another Jim Mars out there. But one thing Jim Mars had beyond, the connections and all that, was there's a certain gravitas that comes with age. And, the people we look forward to, we look to as the premier presenters in these fields are old because they've been hacking this around for the last 40, 50 years. There's a reason it takes you to be in your, these people are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s and on up, is it took that long to build up the credibility. And I don't think there's anybody, it's probably going to be 20 years before another Jim Mars comes up. There might be some 25-year-old kid around Texas right now that's just hammering the hell out of these things, but he's not going to get recognition because, one, no matter how good you are, it's, not bad for a young guy. You're always going to have that kind of reaction.
And taking a different route, who's to say that young guy that's coming up that is the next Jim Mars, the government's not watching for? They're going to be watching for that next Jim Mars to step up, and they're going to try to shoot him down.
Dennis,
that's just the potential.
Dennis Koch in the Spreaker chat room brings up a good point. He says the radio shows and podcasts are starting to fall by the wayside. Saturation point is being reached, and audiences are demanding quality, not a laptop in a living room. Unfortunately, that's what we still have a lot of. Now, let me ask you, Joe, because you and I had this conversation earlier, but might as well share it with the public. You're looking at expanding KTLK. How hard is it to find quality?
It's almost impossible. It feels impossible because everybody wants to do a show. Everybody wants to be the next big thing, but they don't understand that it's not about you, and it's not about what mixer you have and what microphone you're using. It's about the listeners, and are you servicing them? Why do they need to come listen to you versus the other people? Because if you're not asking those questions, then you're really only hurting the field by getting in here. I'm not saying people shouldn't do a little podcast or whatever, but if you're going to do broadcast radio and talk about paranormal and try to get with the big boys, you've got to, you got to bust some doors down, and you've got to try and care about a quality production, and you have to care about what the listeners want, And that's very, very hard to find. And every time I find somebody, like when I first heard your show, when I heard Dave Cruz, I latched onto them as hard as I could. I put my claws into them, And yeah, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on to the next question here. Liz, do you want to get your third one in?
Oh, I've got to think of my third one.
All right. Well, you think.
Yeah.
Joe, how about you? You get your chance for your third.
Well, my third question is one that's been asked, but I think it's still the most important question of the day, or at least it is for me. Do you think that true disclosure, and I'm going to drop the beaten horse here, will ever happen as long as we are alive?
True disclosure has already happened. Are you expecting
but you know what I mean.
president? No, but are you expecting the president to come out and say, yes, there's aliens here and there's UFOs and we've been working with them? I don't think
that's what I'm
it's ever
talking
gonna
about
happen.
when it becomes a reality.
I don't think it can ever be reality, because if you look at the theories, and I believe some of these theories, that say Eisenhower and some of these presidents that actually met with aliens, and if they actually did make a contract with certain races to abduct humans, if you take that and see that as fact, can they really come out and say, yes, aliens are here and this is what happened, when they just sold us down the river some technology, some cell phones and some fiber optics and some spycraft and whatnot so that aliens could harm humans?
And
they're probably laughing about that like we laugh about how the Native Americans sold Manhattan for $23 worth of beads and trinkets.
Yeah. I don't think disclosure is never going to happen.
And that's what I get a lot. Everybody always says that. Not in my lifetime, not in yours, not in your children's, and it makes me sad. It really does.
Joe, let me give you this point, and I've said this many times on this show. How much money does the United States government have the potential to lose if it is found out that all of these abductees who have had horrific things happen to them, and it comes out that the U.S. government knew about them? How many lawsuits does that happen? It bankrupt the U.S. Trillions. Probably trillions of dollars. Billions for sure.
And I hate to say it, but if I were to talk about some of my experiences, even though I came back alive and well, there would be people going Mengele. They would be saying, why our government was basically supporting Mengele-like experiments on human beings. And because that's the way they look, that's the exterior of it, that's how it looks. If it looks like a duck, it must be a duck, so there must be a Joseph Mengele in there somewhere. I mean, it would be so damaging. I think Clinton really did want to come out with disclosure, and when he read the files and he found out that we had agreed to abductions, he got so sick to his stomach, he said, put those away, I never want to see that again. Because, it's a can of worms that you could never come back from. It might be worse than, everybody getting together and standing up against the corporate overlords. If it happened, it might be better. It might be good if it did, but we'd have a revolt, I think. So.
But don't you think we're evolving? I mean, it's obvious we're evolving as a human race, whether it be consciously, technologically. We're doing it faster rates now than we've ever done it before. At some point, it has to happen. I don't buy into this never thing. I think one day we'll all be ready for it,
Well, I think what I've been told. No, I've been told that it's been the point of the major religions, when they're done in a good way, to prepare us to become universal citizens. To love others, to turn the other cheek, to not be in judgment. All of these things would make us good universal citizens. So I think we've been being prepared for this for a long time. But in our lifetimes, do we get there? It's to me, it seems very doubtful.
I don't think we see it either. It opens up too much of a Pandora's box. You're looking at a point here, Joe, where every major religion could fall. Every major political party in this world could fall. Everything can just becomes very corrupt and very and very, I don't know how to put it, but life as we know it would change, effective immediately. And there's a lot of governments who are covering this up. Canada included. What's happened up here? Every country has experiencers. I agree that a soft disclosure has already happened. There's more than enough evidence, and more countries have opened up their UFO files than ever before. But because it isn't one of the big five being the United States, Britain, Russia, China, and Japan, because it isn't one of them, everybody says, where's the proof? Like you did earlier. Where's the proof?
Well, I want to know. Yeah, I wasn't so much about the proof. I know there's proof. It's when will we accept it? And if you look at Carl, for instance, you take Carl the alien, right? The guy, he just looks at you, shows up every now and then. There's a reason why. Are we ready to accept it? Of course not. That's partly the reason why I think they're covering everything up. Panic, chaos, fear. If these aliens are here with us now, which I think they most definitely are, they seem to only pop up to people that are willing to accept them, and they even don't do it that much, even still. But, as far as Kurzweil goes, we can have transhumanism, nanotechnology, all this stuff, and we can become the smartest people in the galaxy, but we can't accept another race because it's going to make everybody afraid. I'm for the change. I don't care if it's devastating. I think we should do it.
Could do.
Let's move on.
All right, speaking of moving on, let's get to Preacher's final question of the night.
Okay. This is a great segue because my next one was going to be, Joe just touched on it, with Kurzweil's idea of reaching the point where we are one with our technology. Once we do that, will there be a human race? Or will we evolve away from the biological to the point where, you won't even recognize human beings because they've pretty much become mechanical or artificial? And what does that do to our evolution, to our way of life, everything you think of as a human would be completely different if Kurzweil's dream comes true. And do we want that?
I don't.
Yeah, my answer, Borg. We are Borg. We are one. Resistance is futile. No, I don't want to be a Borg.
I don't think it would go so far as being a Borg as much as it would be, I'm thinking of, what was AI, the movie AI, where humans were gone. And it was our technology, or the artificial intelligence and the cyborgs, became a race of sentient robots in their own right. Silicon-based life. So what happens to our culture, our roots? What happens to anything human once we start, augmenting ourselves with our technology?
I hate to cut. Can I just say something here? I know that I've been talking a lot here, but, at Columbia University, they already have robots with self-healing skin. They have a combative robotics department at Columbia University. It already heals its skin from knife wounds. Nanotechnology is going to happen within the next 5 years. These things are already creating languages that we do not understand, and it is so bad that it scared Google and Facebook enough to shut it down. Kurzweil's predictions have been close to 90% accurate, I've heard, on different cases. There's a lot of things to fear, but transhumanism, in my opinion, is the number one thing that we should be afraid of and stop it before it happens.
And you don't hear much about it.
Nope.
That's the scary part.
Yeah.
Or when you do hear about it, all you hear about is, well, diabetes would be gone. They present the pro side of
right.
it. Virtual immortality. Well, what's immortality if all you are is a wrench set? There's a value to being human.
Yeah.
And I think transhumanism, it'd be great that I could take a shot of nanoparticles and my diabetes and my high blood pressure and any of my other all the ails that come with the flesh disappeared. But then what do we lose?
Well, where does the soul go?
That's just it. They talk about being able to download a complete human consciousness.
Yeah.
Like virtual, but now, that's to me, it's no more real. They might download my experience and everything from my mind into this new, gorgeous new body. What happened to me?
God, I could use one of those.
No, but what happens to that part of, that part of just everybody just thinking right now, that part of you, that voice in your head that you realize is you. That's not going to transfer. Where does that go?
I have an aside, a little anecdotal story to tell you that speaks to this without doing it specifically. I saw Ray Kurzweil at Berkeley in 1986, 1987. I don't remember what year, when I was a student at Berkeley College of Music. And he was saying the exact same thing, how his musical instrument could download all the other instruments and they would be just the same, if not better than they were before. I want to ask you guys, how many of you are playing your guitar, are playing your mandolin, are playing your banjo and love it, and are not playing Kurzweil's computer keyboard?
Absolutely. I mean, the synthesizer.
Yep.
But this will make you sick. I had a chance to get a Kurzweil years ago. I'm a guitar player, so I'm like, what do I want with that? $60. Nowadays, that very same one I could have picked up for, probably talked them down to $50, is about $2,500 keyboard synthesizer. But it's still the fact that we call them synthesizers, they're synthetic. They're synthetic to me means fake, facsimile, Xerox. That kernel, the human experience is more than a data set. We're more than we're more than the algorithms that could be transferred and downloaded. I mean, they've got the storage capacity now, but the person that walks away with the memories, everything that was in this brain case is not me. I die in the transfer. I mean, that the me that's real, the me that can think, there's a quintessential bit of consciousness in all of us that is beyond the data. And if you can download forever, the original's gone. It's dead, gone, goes wherever. There's no way you're going to download the soul of the original.
No.
And I think the whole idea of transhumanism, I think transhumanism is the ultimate evil.
I do
or
too,
at least it's the ultimate denial of humanity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk, as much as he's created and stuff and has done for technology, has called out to a panel of 116 people in the United Nations as well to stop combative robots, because they know that even if they just start with the machines, that eventually this AI technology is going to be allowed to be in there. They know how dangerous it is. And no, it's not talked about that much, but it's really happening under the radar as much, probably way more than we know right now.
Oh, yeah, the company that makes that cute little vacuum cleaner that you turn loose in your house, and the Roomba, their major contracts are artificial intelligent combat robots. I mean, the whole scenario of Terminator, I mean, you know, not to be cliche, but basically Terminator is coming true. And, you know, and even I almost wonder if some of the movies we've seen in the last 30 years were, okay, let's start with 2001 Space Odyssey. HAL, the artificial intelligence. You know, oh, he's just like a human. Yeah, well, exactly. He went insane and killed everybody, you know, except one person. And that repeating theme of our machines getting away from us and realizing that they don't need us anymore, or, you know, it's a form of Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Well, the machines are going to be far more fit than we are for survival because, face it, you know, we're soft, we're crunchy, and to certain animals we taste good, and the only thing that kept us... Yeah, I mean, it's just... You know, tools are technology, whether it was a pointy stick or, you know, a flint knife, is what gave us the advantage. Now, once the pointy stick becomes, you know, the wielder and not the wielded, we're an evolutionary dead end. There's no need for humans.
Man, just think of some of those movies as a warning for the awakened.
Maybe Dave can talk Carl into, you know, having his people cut in and stop this before it gets out of hand.
Damn it, man! I'm just trying to figure out why the hell they won't show themselves in my backyard. That's all I want.
Right on.
That's all I want.
They won't because they have an arrangement. The benevolent races actually are working behind the scenes as best they can, but they cannot infringe upon human will. The human will of humans, if that makes sense.
It does.
The prime directive, in other words. We've already got a primitive version of it in our fiction. You don't tamper with the developing culture.
Gentlemen and lady, I'm going to jump in here. I got to jump in. Because we have a choice to make.
Yes.
We have a choice to make right now.
Yes.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spaceoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter the encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from your Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
Want a place to share your experiences without feeling judged? We have the place for you. If you've experienced sightings or contact with ETs, ghosts, cryptids, or UFOs, and you'd like someone to confidentially look into the matter, just fill out an SOR Sightlines report. Our goal is to help you get the answers you need to the experiences you've had with our professional team of researchers. Your information stays 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines report. Fill out your experience today only at spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience, Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you'd like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
From British Columbia to Northern California, Pacific Northwest has Cascadia covered. Check out our feature videos at spacedoutradio.com, where I, Vincent Zunza, and my super sleuth partner Alexandra Sullivan track down the weird and strange stories from around the Pacific Northwest, from Bigfoot to Mel's Hole and everything in between. This is what makes life exciting. So why report the normal when we can report the Pacific Northwest right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Don't have time to listen to Spaced Out Radio live? Wherever you are, the car, the office, the shower, or even if you're traveling, we're right here for you. Each Spaced Out Radio show can be found on iTunes, TuneIn, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio Show. It's the perfect way for you to catch up on our shows. For more information, just head over to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and tune in to us today.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
It's time for overtime here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. We haven't done OT in a long time. Let me just put the horn back. Hold on. It's been a while, my friends. It's been a while since we did a little bit of overtime. And you know what? I just felt in the mood. I wasn't ready to go to bed. I had one of those nights last night where I literally could not sleep. After the show, I usually pass out right away. Usually within 10-15 minutes, and I ended up being up until like 4:45 this morning. Or yesterday morning now. So, figured what the hell? Let's do a little bit of OT. Haven't done it in a while, so let's do it. So now Elizabeth and Eric Cooper did have to run, but I still got Eric Markham and Joseph Roop here with me. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know where we're going with this, guys. I really don't. You know, just sometimes it's just nice to be on the air and chat away. Yes, everybody's like, oh my God, they blew a horn in my ear. What is going on? They blew a horn in my ear.
Hey, Dave, I remember first time I had headphones on when you let that thing off.
Absolutely. Joe, you got a question?
Yeah, can I ask you a stupid question? Because
Sure.
I'm curious about it, and I've listened to your show, and I've never asked you because I was too embarrassed to. Well, what is the deal with those freaky-deaky passwords that you have, man?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Now, last time, what do you mean exactly?
I just answered your question.
Dude, last time you were doing this exactly thing is when you took a picture of a stump, and that confused me too.
Oh, I just felt like taking a picture of a stump. It's like the other day. It's like the other day. I didn't know what to tweet, so I had to. I just put a picture of a lobster on. You know, sometimes you just got to dare to be different. But if you want to know what the meaning of the password is, it's exactly.
Okay.
You're going to have to hit up Joe Allgaier or Bill Cardwell.
I will do that.
You're in the chat room. Joe, I know you're listening. You better get a big mention for this. Okay? Joe, explain in the Spreaker chat room so Joe Roop can see what the password means. Joe will tell you. Joe will tell you. We'll wait for Joe. He will tell you exactly what the password means. So, I'm getting a few questions here. Mad Warrior, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Yes, the horn was pure arseholery. Yes, we do it every time we go into overtime. So, that's why we blow the horn. That's why we blow the horn. Wrong chat room, Joe. There it is. Joe Roop, are you reading Joe's comment right now?
All right. I get it.
Exactly. What's the password for? Exactly. There you go. Thank you. Yes. How many chat comments are we at here now? We're at over 1,700 right now. You guys are crazy in Spreaker tonight. Crazy. Are you that bored on a Friday night that you want to hang out with me? I am so humbled by that. Thank you so much, guys and girls. Appreciate you doing that. Now, Mike McNeil has a question. He says, Dave, I'm curious as hell. Did you find anything after the show the other night when you thought you saw a big head go by your window? Okay, I'm going to tell the story here. So at 11:47 p.m., we had David Weatherly and Ross Allison on, and I have a window here right in my broadcast studio of SOR headquarters. And so what happened is this humanoid-type head kind of sashayed by my window. It was a grayish-white color. So I kind of looked up, didn't see anything. And, by the way, Bill Cardwell says, password? What password? Anyways, thanks, Bill. Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the Mighty SOR. Anyways, so what happened was, after the show, I called up Elizabeth Anglin because my normal guy that I call, Mr. R. Keith Andrews, happened to pass out on his couch during the show because he was having a sore back and went to lay down. And so what happened then was I got a hold of Elizabeth Anglin. And in my backyard, or on my driveway, apparently Carl and his friends left a friend around my yard. And she was picking up on him. And this guy, apparently a newbie into the whole alien group, according to Liz, and Keith confirmed that, was unsure of what to do. He was freaking out. And when I came outside, he went up towards, I got 7, 8 big trees in the front yard, and he was hanging out up there. Now, you have to understand, I live in the middle of nowhere. There's not even a street light on my street. So it is dark out, man. It is very dark out in my area. I didn't see him, but one of the things Liz suggested was we wake up Mrs. SOR, and she is a Reiki master, and she starts giving this young guy, alien guy, Reiki, in order to calm him down. So that's what we did. That's what we did, was we ended up, I went and woke her up. I said, there's an alien in the yard. Now, Mrs. SOR, who is also very connected, came out. She put her hands up to try and feel his energy to calm him down, and she picked him up. Didn't see him. Got ripped off that way again. But we then got a hold of Eric Cooper from Forest Moon. He was just on as well. And Everett Thiemer was on the phone with us as well. We're trying to figure this out. Eric Cooper brought in one of his astral travelers. She got booted for personal reasons. And then my little guy woke up twice, because it was almost like he was picking up on the energy. He woke up twice just screaming like kids scream when they're having a nightmare. You know, they give you that death scream. That's what my little guy was doing. So that's what happened. Didn't see him, but people felt him, and he was there.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I think I had a sandwich and went to sleep that night. So
Yeah.
Yours was a lot more eventful. Did the little guy say what he saw in his dream?
No, but you know what happened? It's funny because he had a little bit of an experience a couple nights ago, previous to that, and Liz actually called it. She goes, that was about 2 or 3 nights ago, right? And I said, yeah, it was. And what happened was he woke up around, I don't even know what time. I was zonked out. And he woke up in the middle of the night, and he went and crawled into bed with us. Now, normally, he'll crawl in on Mama's side, and he'll sleep there. However, he woke up screaming. Because when he woke up, he said there was somebody standing at the front of the bed pulling on his leg.
Yikes.
Yeah, and Jolene, who has seen beings in our bedroom before, she's an abductee as well, contactee as well. She didn't see anything. So we moved the little guy in between us, and that's where he slept peacefully for the remainder of the night. My little guy does see, and he's starting to see a lot. So it's very, very interesting to see how things go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll see where it
goes. Do you
goes.
remember your childhood, though, Dave? Because I seen a lot of stuff when I was a kid, and I don't see it anymore.
I didn't see squat as a kid, man. I lived a very sheltered life. Very sheltered life. And I didn't see squat. Really, I saw my first UFO, I think I was 22 years old. I worked in a haunted building around that time. And a few years later, I moved into a haunted house with my ex-wife, and that was the extent of what I knew. So I've always been a believer, right? But it wasn't until 2011 when my experiences kicked in full force that I started actually having things really happen and get a little whacked out.
Wow. What about Preacher? Did you see anything when you was a kid? It seems like kids can see more than we can.
Well, yeah, I remember seeing some, like I said, when I tried to do that projection that time,
yeah,
I saw those twisted faces, but I remember seeing those same twisted, kind of ugly faces when I was kindergarten age, maybe, prior to third grade. Because I have to go by where I was living at the time, and we moved to the place I basically grew up in, the summer of my third grade year. So I was very young, and it seems like there was a lot of weird things that would happen, like dreams that were too real, to be just, for a little, in retrospect, I think, where would a little kid even come up with this, So, yeah, I think I had some paranormal experiences when I was very young. And then in my teens, my grandparents had a lake cottage that had been built around the turn of the century. And the guy that had built it, when he died, he haunted it. I didn't know at the time there was a name or, a person. I just knew that when I was sleeping in this bedroom, which was the last original part of the house that hadn't been improved, it was as it was when my grandparents bought it, because my grandfather was the world's foremost tinkerer. Bob Vila had nothing on Grandpa. But anyway, that was the last part of the house that was more or less untouched original. And I was spending the summer up there, and I just felt like I was always being watched. And what capped it off is one night I was laying on the bed looking out the window at the lights coming across the lake, and I felt a hand on my shoulder. And I turned around thinking it was one of my grandparents saying good night or whatever, just checking on me. There was nobody there. Next morning, I told my grandmother that could I sleep where there was another place I usually sleep, and that's where I wanted to go. And she looked right at me and, "Oh, Bob getting to you?" And, to understand my grandmother, she grew up, she was one of those Depression-era mothers, one-room schoolhouse teacher, had no sense of humor. I think I saw her smile maybe a dozen times my entire life. Very stern, no-nonsense woman is what I'm getting at. And when she said, "Oh, is Bob getting to you?" fully acknowledging that there was a spirit in that house and that she knew who it was, that was all the validation I needed. I just remember the hair. As a matter of fact, the hair, what's left of my hair, is standing up on the back of my head now. So it's to relive that even in memory from 40 years ago, it's still pretty crazy.
Man, it's trippy hearing you say that, because you've seen the same things I've seen. I also had a dream to where someone touched me when I was a kid, and I turned around and no one was there. But I don't remember if it was a dream or reality, but I remember the fear from it. So I tend to think that kids can see things that we can't. It is strange, though, that Dave saw absolutely nothing when he was a child, though.
No, it was boring. No, literally, never really tuned into it. Never really tuned into it at all. It just kind of, went that way. I don't know why.
Are you left-handed? Are you typo negative, or what's the deal?
I'm left-handed and O positive.
Uh-huh.
I'm
I wonder if
right-handed
that has
and A
anything to do with
negative.
it. That's exactly what I am. I'm right-handed and A negative. I was reading some stuff on that, the right brain and left brain. You know, they say the right brain is more tuned to the spirit realm, and, you know, people that get older that are left-handed happen to have more experiences when they get older. I was reading an article about that, and it's opposite for right-handed. I don't know if that's true, but it seems to be the case here.
No idea.
Well, I've also heard that a lot of it's tied to the pineal gland, and as we age, our diet and just the way the body sequesters minerals, it encapsulates the pineal gland in a calcium layer. And as we age, that's why we don't see as much, or, you know, whether that's, is that an evolutionary thing to keep us from going nuts when we get older, or, you know, what it is. But, you know, there is a physical scientific reason, or at least there seems to be a given scientific fact that seems to go hand in hand with the anecdotal paranormal evidence.
Maybe it's real.
I think one of the scariest, you know, second grade, so what, 5, 6 years old, 7 at the most, I had this horrible dream where I was standing in front, I was with a friend of mine that was in my school, and at the time I called it the devil, snatched me from behind and, you know, pulled me away into, like, I was standing in this hallway with my friend Bobby, and the next minute I hear this laugh that's echoing off till it fades, like a Dopplering effect, and pulled into this dark area. And of course I woke up and was awake the rest of the night. So, you know, 7 years old, I mean, there doesn't seem to be any limit or any law against screwing with kids with these things, these entities.
Yeah, they did. They messed with me a lot. And as you said before, those beings that I saw and that pushed me back into my body, I used to see those same exact things when I was a kid. It's really weird hearing you talk about that, man. If you tell another story that happened exactly like it did to me, I mean, this is really starting to freak me out here.
Oh, have you ever had a disembodied voice speak in your ear?
I've heard whispers before
Yes.
speak to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not
I
very
had
fun.
that. Yeah, the first time it happened to me, wasn't that long ago, probably about 10 years ago when it happened to me. And, you know, at this point, that was the sentinel event that's like, okay, there's something to this after, you know. Everything up to that I could sort of blow away or explain away. But I was wide awake, and, you know, there was no dream involved. I wasn't comfortable because I was in a strange bed. I had gotten off work the morning before and driven straight from, you know, Clemens, North Carolina to Providence, Rhode Island, partied with my family once I got there. And, you know, it was just one of those just wired out type of nights. I had fallen asleep a little bit for a couple hours, and then I was wide awake just because of, you know, that much change in your routine. And this voice said, excuse me, with an accent. I don't do accents. When I try, it sucks. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Let's
imagine,
hear you try.
Like a voice, you know, like you would hear in a Dickens novel, you know, a sort of that mudlark.
Proper English?
Well, not even proper, more the, excuse me, that kind of, you know, it was like you'd hear a cast member of Oliver Twist speaking.
Right.
The Artful Dodger or something, that kind of vernacular. And there was, from where the voice came from, there was I tore that room apart looking for microphones and stuff, and it was almost, it was as much a hearing as it was. It's like I heard it, but it also,
damn it, man! You got me on the edge of my seat here. You got me on the edge of my seat.
It happened inside the head.
Well, you don't believe it happened. That's how I was when I was a kid. My pop would always say, "It's just your imagination, son. Shut up. I'm tired of hearing about it." But I don't really think so now. I think some of that stuff was happening.
You know what? It happens to all of us. It's really freaky though when it happens to your kids.
That's the part that bothers me about it. It just seems like there's no protection of the innocent.
No, absolutely.
And there should be.
No, well, there can't be, though, because don't forget, they are more connected than what we know. Let's have a little fun here. Because I'm going to shut this down at the top of the hour, okay? Because I got a busy day tomorrow. I got a busy
Chat
day
room's
tomorrow.
crazy. 44 and highly unattractive.
That's true. That's true. Very, very unattractive. That's why I have a face for radio. And Joe keeps taking pictures of this damn gnome that's moving closer and closer and closer to him. So, I hate garden gnomes. Either way, well, let's have a little fun here. Joe, I'm going to start off here. You know what? I'm going to start off. All right? I'm writing a speech for Eric Cooper's Paranormal conference in Concrete, Washington, which will happen September 23rd. And Preacher, you're speaking at that too, right?
Yes, I am.
All right. My speech is on why I hate the paranormal. It's a little bit of a play on words there because I really do love this field, but there are certain aspects that I just loathe about this. Loathe. And I can tell you, one of those topics that I absolutely loathe is these know-it-all people that are in this field. That you can't tell them anything because they've already formed their opinions on everything. And I'm bringing that up.
They've done it. They've done it too. They know exactly what you're talking about.
Or you get these paranormal groups out there, and they have their, 12 months ago when demonology was all the rage, you have this like 26-year-old or 22-year-old kid who's in this paranormal group who's apparently been a demonologist for the last 7 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what happens with that?
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate it. Drives me
So
nuts.
you're doing a speech about what you hate about the paranormal. That's interesting because you usually don't hear that kind of stuff at conferences. That's pretty cool.
Well, trust me, I am going to end up stating so much how much I do love it because I do love this field. But the big thing that I hate about it is the fact that we are continually shooting ourselves in our own feet. Use whatever adjective or anything you want to run. Doesn't matter. And I'm tired of it because there are a lot of brilliant people in this field doing brilliant work, except we keep shooting ourselves down. Right? We keep just doing that.
I believe
too much ego. There's too much big me, little you in this field. We saw it. Our sterling example, the 80-year-old gangster granny, but there's too many people that it's a competition with them. They're not. What bothers me is they're not looking for answers. They're looking for fame. They might have started looking for answers, and they might have gotten a little success, and that goes to their head, and all of a sudden it's about them and not about the field, not about the research, not about gathering the data and proving something. Because face it, this is the biggest question facing mankind. Is there, is it one and done? Is there something that survives after? And instead of going after that answer, it's all about being the next, reality TV show or having that following a sycophantic yes man or butt kissers following you around the Paracon circuit. And it's begun to it's the cult of personality, and it has nothing to do with researching and finding answers.
I agree. But like we learned on the paranormal circuit, and by the way, it was really weird today, Markham. Today, right before the show, I was watching this shark show on Netflix. And where are they showing? All around Provincetown in the Cape Cod area. Yeah, drove me nuts. Because I'm thinking, and all I could think about was that damn sign, that had the big great white shark on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warning swimmers not to get around, don't swim around the seals or the ducks or anything, because you might become, shark food.
Yes. Exactly. For those of you who don't know, yes, we are in overtime right now. And Robert White, Aussie Rob, decided to go shopping instead. Guess he needed some avocados or something. And the beautiful Marie, who's been dodging us for a while, she just showed up. Are we in overtime right now? Yes, we are.
Dude, this has got to be the craziest Spreaker chat I've ever seen, and I've looked at a lot of chats.
Our people
we're almost to 2,000.
Hey, Tracy
we're
Barnes.
Just a few away from it.
Tracy Barnes on Spreaker chat right now. Don't even think about going to bed. You're in Nanaimo. There's got to be a couple of shootings happening over there, to keep you awake. Come on, stay awake with us. Stay awake. Tessa's like, avocados. That is the most overrated,
nasty
vegetable, fruit, whatever the hell it is. It is overrated. That and zucchini. If I could ban avocado and zucchini. Hold on.
Well, actually, as a diabetic, you get to where you like zucchini, because you can actually use zucchini as a pizza crust. There's things. Zucchini actually has its uses for a diabetic diet, but to just sit there and eat boiled zucchini like my mom used to serve it, I'd rather lick the cat's butt to get the taste out of my mouth.
Oh my goodness!
I can't eat it, man. When I look at it, especially when somebody brings out that dip and they bring it to the table. I ain't doing it. I don't care how wonderful it tastes.
No, there's just no reason for zucchini or avocado. There just isn't. Okay? Give me broccoli, give me cauliflower. I'm a cucumber guy. I like a good cucumber. Kurt Green, welcome. I notice the other show must be over for you to come join us. Thank you. Appreciate your time. I went there.
That's a good one.
I went there.
Yeah, he did.
Kurt Green's pretty good. He shows up every now and again. I'm still trying to figure out why he has a Jacqueline Kennedy photo. But it's kind of cool. No, we're not getting into okra either. This isn't the food channel. We talk burgers and nachos and things like that.
Big steaming piles of crispy fried bacon.
Exactly.
It's better than being called Paranormal Hee-Haw. Dave Cruz called my show Paranormal Hee-Haw the other day. It broke my heart.
You know what else we're going to throw in the garbage bin of vegetables? Spinach and kale.
Kale, definitely.
Put it this way. If it's reptile food, like I used to have an iguana, all right? I used to have a pet iguana that I would feed kale and spinach to. If it's good for an iguana, I don't want it.
Yeah, because look what it did to the iguana.
Exactly.
I'm getting real tired of the veggies. Not the vegans. Man, they come down on me all the time. It's like I'm a evil person because I like to eat animals, you know, and they want me to feel guilty about it. Yes, one animal has to die a day for me to be happy. I don't feel ashamed of it, but I can't stand green, gunky, baby diaper looking stuff. I'm not eating it.
I like my vegetables too. I do like my vegetables. I really enjoy them.
They're great if you can get them out of the wheelchair.
Oh, that's terrible,
come on! That's
I know.
You know what? That's a former Weekend host kind of comment.
I
went there.
Dang.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to slap you.
My apologies.
I had to slap you hard there. I had to slap you.
My
hard.
apologies.
That's okay.
I do that sometimes too, preacher.
That's okay. That's okay. But you know what? Anyways, getting back to the original topic about my speech with the Paracon, I'm writing it. I'm about 1,400 words in, which is probably about 17 minutes, and I got 90 minutes to fill. Okay, I got 90 minutes to fill, and I can tell you that it is very, very difficult to try and, how can I put this, fill that amount of time with hating on the paranormal. Because I don't hate it. I just hate things of it. Joe, you've been around this field long enough. What pisses you off about the paranormal?
Well, like you said earlier, the know-it-alls. You can't. There's so many people that I talk to that won't say, man, I've never heard of that. I've never had that experience. Never done that. They know everything about everything. And to me, it's impossible. And it doesn't hold water. I like to hear from somebody that says, man, I don't know. Never had that experience. You know? But I just don't run into that a lot. I would say I've done it all. No matter what you say, I've done that too, been there, had that experience. It's all happened to me.
Mm-hmm. I do want to throw in there that, ladies, I'm going to tell you, kale chips that you're making, you're putting the kale into the oven and crisping it up, it's not a chip. That's terrible. No amount of dip makes those taste good. I tried half of one once, and I did what any normal man would do. I took another one, I put it in the garbage. I then took another one and put it in the garbage. Kale chips, terrible. Just terrible. Sorry.
It's one of those things you eat the second one just to make sure that the first one really was that bad.
No.
Could it really be that bad?
I trust me. I didn't bother eating the next one. I just took it off the plate and said, I'll take another, and I'll take that one, and I put it in the trash.
Dude, just take a men's one a day and eat what you want. Forget all this other stuff, man. Everybody's trying to shove rabbit food down your throat all the time because they're so worried about you.
I know.
What's that? They say vegetarian is the Indian word for can't hunt.
Exactly. Bad hunter.
What gets me is the people that are against hunting will go and buy, processed meats and stuff out of the meat counter. Where do they think that came from? At least the hunter is taking the process from start to finish.
Depends on the hunting, though.
Somebody do the dirty work.
Depends on the hunting, though. Up here in British Columbia, they just put a full ban on the sport hunting for grizzly bears. And that brought in probably a couple $1 million into the economy every year. But they've and you know what? I'm not a Greenpeacer. I'm not a tree hugger. Okay, but I'm actually glad that they did, because I'm not a guy who likes the sport hunt. Just not a fan of that. If you're killing for food, like we're getting into hunting season up here, and the fashion statement's the ladies are gonna go from their nice, beautiful little summer dresses and short shorts to camouflage here probably in the next 2 weeks, and the men are gonna go from summer camouflage to fall camouflage here coming up in a couple weeks as well. And hunting season's huge up here. It is massive up here. And I do not hunt. I don't even own a gun. Well, I own 2 pellet guns, but that's about it. That's just more for target shooting for fun.
And you can scare somebody in the dark with it.
We don't do that up here, man. This is
You do if somebody breaks in your house.
Oh, God.
I got a gun, man.
Well, of course
Come
you
on.
do. You're American. You're American.
Oh, don't do that, Dave.
Don't go there, Dave.
Oh, I can go there very, very quickly.
I got a lot of guns. I grew up hunting. I don't hunt anymore because I think it's stupid. We've got more deer meat here than we can handle. It's stupid. I don't do it
Not a
anymore.
fan of the deer meat. I find it very dry. It
Yep.
very dry.
I like it because it takes on the flavors of the seasons you cook it with. I like a venison steak.
Yeah.
And I used to not want to hunt, but since I got my motorcycle and have had those stupid things run in front of me at night coming home, I support deer hunters. I really do.
You know what is really, really good, and I had it for the first time about a month ago, is I had bear jerky. I'd never tried bear before. And one of the guys that I know here, he got, during bear season, he got himself a 6-foot bear, and he made jerky out of it. That was good stuff.
You kill a grizzly? Is it grizzly?
No,
Is that
black
what
bear.
you're talking about?
Black bear.
Black bear. Okay.
Black bear. Never tried bear before. I can cross that one off my list.
Did it taste like anything familiar, or was it just its own complete? Because I've heard cooking bear is a very smelly, awful process.
I don't know. This was jerky, and it didn't smell, but I mean, don't forget, it was spiced up too, right? Right?
Man, you put enough ketchup on anything, I guess it'll taste good.
That's how I made it through my childhood. Because I grew up when if it was put in front of you, you didn't complain. You ate, or the 6'3" shaved Bigfoot we called Dad popped you on.
Preacher, you know what I want to do? You know what I want to do, Preacher? I want to go back to that lobster restaurant we were at in Provincetown.
Oh, yes.
Okay, and they had that 2-foot lobster in there. Remember that big bastard that was in the tank?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, every time I think of him, my mouth waters.
They say that they don't taste as good when they get that big, but I would like to put that to the test.
I would love
that thing had a tail section. You know, the tail on that lobster was the size of my forearm. You could imagine.
Oh, it was massive. I'm willing to take the chance on that. Totally willing to take the chance. Provincetown, Massachusetts.
Oh.
That was a good restaurant.
That was a very good restaurant. Everything is lobster in there. Everything is lobster. You walk in, and literally...
Sounds incredible.
They've got this... It had to be a 20-foot tank filled with lobsters.
Yeah, a live tank is sitting there.
Yeah.
Probably 100 lobsters in there.
Oh, probably.
Which, that's got to be torture for them because lobsters are solitary.
Well, I'm sure they go through that many lobsters a day, minimum.
I bet.
Yeah. You know...
I think I figured out why there's no Sasquatch. Or I know there's been reported Sasquatches in Arkansas, but where I live in little south of Little Rock, when hunting season starts, which it's about to start, you literally are surrounded by gunshots all the time. So that's probably why I've never even heard or seen anything of a Sasquatch or Dogman. But up in the Ozarks, the hunters have said they've seen stuff up there.
Well, you know what?
Well,
I have a theory about that. I have a theory that the reason why a lot of hunters do not see Sasquatch is I think Sasquatch has a very potent nose.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling, excuse me, I have a feeling that Sasquatch can smell gunpowder. Never mind the sound, but the gunpowder. And because gunpowder, I mean, everybody knows it has a distinct odor that does carry. And I think if you are firing your guns around and it gets a whiff of that gunpowder, I think that's the biggest reason why biggest reason why we don't see a lot of hunters coming across Sasquatch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that and, well, down here, it's an all-out war. I mean, if you're not careful, you'll catch a high-speed lead injection just living out here. There's too many hunters out here, man.
Same up here. Same up here. During the hunting season, oh, my goodness. You know, I went through a roadblock one day, a hunting roadblock one day with the conservation officers. They were surprised I was the only one who'd gone through who didn't even have a gun. Or a dead carcass, or camping gear, nothing. It was easy.
Man.
That was the best roadblock
Where I grew
I've
up
ever
in
been
Michigan, everybody wanted to go to Baldwin, Michigan, which is up toward the Upper Peninsula. Baldwin is one of those places where you can walk into the woods and disappear.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody would go up there to hunt deer on opening day. My dad did one time, and he said by 7 o'clock in the morning, these guys are staggering around, just drunk off their asses, and they're carrying, back in the day, it was nothing. You could pick up a M1 for $30. So these guys are running around with military-grade rifles, deer hunting, drunk.
For what?
And he just like, oh, for deer. And he just like, okay. He left. He thanked those stars he got back to the car and came home and never went again.
I don't blame him.
Tripping, have you really ate possum, brother? My goodness.
He's from the South. Why wouldn't he?
I am too, but I've never ate possum.
Oh,
meat.
come
I'm
on.
Not going to.
I will guarantee, you're in Arkansas, right?
Yes, sir.
I'll guarantee you're wearing a teeth plate. You don't have all your own teeth.
Now, I got every one of my teeth. I'm a beautiful man.
Well, your hair is gorgeous. Your hair is gorgeous. I'm not buying the teeth factor. They're at least capped or something.
Dude, I'm going to change my Facebook profile pic just for you and show you my beautiful smile. I take good care of my teeth. We're not all flat-footed, inbred, all that, whatever.
Come on.
I mean, I'm not saying they ain't out here, because they are.
How old's your trailer? How old is your trailer?
I don't live in a trailer, sir. I live in a house. That's terrible, man. That's why I want to get out of here. I was telling you, I was doing my show the other night, and Dave was like, yeah, it's paranormal hee-haw time. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. You got to be kidding me.
Oh, man.
I have lived in the South longer. I was born in the North, but I've grown. I've lived in the South longer than I ever was. I left Michigan when I was 18. Never looked back.
Don't have the accent.
And you have to
hold on.
Realize
both
that
of you
most
have horrible
Northerners
accents.
think hee-haw is what the South is.
Both of you
have kind of have a little.
Both
bit
of you have seriously. Both of you have major Southern accents. Southern. It's like
really?
oh yeah, you guys can't hear it. See, unlike us up here, no accent whatsoever. Seattle's like
no
us.
accent, eh?
Whatever.
Nothing.
So let's talk about something about Arkansas. Now,
let's not.
Hold on. Time out. Time out. How do you get
about Fylth, Arkansas, and the legend of Boggy Creek and all that? Do you think that was a legitimate thing that got mixed with a hoax, or do you think it was all hoax? Now, my reason for thinking a lot of it was hoax is I met somebody that worked for my dad who was actually in on making the footprints. And they said, well, we made them footprints by walking backwards in a set of Voigt swim fins.
Shoes?
Yeah, Voigt swim, those cheap swim fins you used to be. They walked backwards in them, and that gave that impression of a three-toed foot.
You talking about the Fylth monster? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. They, this guy, he and his cousins were actually claimed to be, they hoaxed it, said they got it started and it snowballed, and then they didn't want to say anything because, once that thing took a life of its own, you couldn't have straightened it. You could have photographic, documentary, film evidence of perpetrating the hoax, and people wouldn't have believed it.
Let me just tell you, right, in this state, if any man is in the woods, he's carrying a gun, period. If anything rolls up on anybody in this state like that, it's getting shot. I absolutely
see. I don't get that. I don't get that, man.
Hey, I'm not saying I would. I'm just telling you how these people are here.
Well, you've got feral hogs in Arkansas that are.
We got feral.
We
got feral hogs up here. We got feral hogs up here. We got feral horses, feral cattle, feral Sasquatch. We got it all up here.
You ever been attacked by a razorback hog?
You kidding me? You know what they do with the trees up here? They cut the trees up to 8 feet. Okay? So what I'm saying is they cut the tree branches up to 8 feet because if they're near a road or something along those lines, because anything below 8 feet can really help ignite forest fires, as we just learned. And I'm learning all this crap. I'm just tired of learning about forest fires. Joe Monk, we need a hair update. We need a hair update on Spreaker. Thank you. So we have everything up here that you guys, you got them feral hogs. Yeah, about an hour east of us is where everybody goes hunting the feral hogs. I think if I was a hunter, I would go after the hogs because they just seem fun. I know they're dangerous as hell.
A lot of hog hunting goes on.
Mm-hmm. I know they're dangerous as hell. My question about Kelly Larson on Facebook. I know you're listening right now. Says, the wife and I just sent you a care package, mainly avocado and zucchini, but a care package nonetheless.
That's a terrorist package.
Yeah, exactly. Yelling a little bit of Allahu Akbar on that one. Yeah,
but you want to know why everybody goes around here and carries guns in the woods, right? Is that what you were going to ask?
No, I mean, you guys just pull the trigger on everything.
No, we don't. I'm just saying,
you're like Frank's
monster walked up on you.
You're like Frank's Red Hot Sauce. You pull the trigger on everything.
I would shoot it. Would you not shoot that? Look, I mean, the way they explain this monster, it can't be a good thing.
No, kind of like the Dewey Lake monster. It's not a benign entity.
Yeah.
I was wondering how long it would take before you got a Dewey Lake monster in there.
Hey, part of my history.
I hear you.
I mean, I grew up. I swam in Dewey Lake as a kid. My mom and I used to walk there. So, and to know that all that crap was happening, and I didn't know it and it's probably a good thing because I think about it. I got freaked out enough by the Falcon, the movie, Legend of Boggy Creek.
I'll tell you.
Scared me enough that if I'd have known that there was something like that in our area, I had never gone camping.
Here's my point.
Shut in.
Here's my point with all of this, okay? Up here, Sasquatch, and I do believe there's some pissed off Sasquatch up here. Okay, I do. I'm sure they don't like the nuisance drivers, they don't like the gunshots or whatever. But for the most part, I think Sasquatch is pretty docile. At least that's my opinion. And I'm going out on Sunday to go looking. But I mean, how come everything's evil down there? You got evil pigs, you got evil chupacabra, evil Boggy Creek monster, evil serpents, evil snakes,
It's the weather. It's hot.
You have evil unicorns down there tearing down statues. It's just the way it is.
It's because it's hot. If you're covered with thick matted fur and the humidity's 90 and it's, 102 degrees in the shade, hell, anything's going to be in a foul temper. I'm in a foul temper until fall.
I realize that, and I can appreciate that. Okay, people in the Spreaker chat room, I got to ask you, okay, you got to stop with the food. I am getting starving here. I'm starving here. Kurt brings up Mexican food. You know what I would do for Taco Bell right now? I don't even care if it's
Tacos.
real. I don't even care if it's real Mexican food. I would die for some Taco Bell right now. Closest
Honest
Taco
to
Bell.
God, folks, I had to find him a Taco Bell.
You didn't find me a Taco Bell. You ripped me off.
We looked
You
all the
ripped
way
me off.
between Boston and Provincetown. There wasn't a single Taco Bell.
You don't have a Taco Bell where you live?
It's 2.5 hours away, man. My town doesn't even have a McDonald's.
No way.
Serious.
We were looking for one.
Serious. All I want's a bloody Taco Bell, and I can't get any.
Mm. Did you ever find? Did you finally get some before you got back
No.
to Canada? Or
No, nothing. You dropped me off at the airport.
Mm.
Right.
And,
It
and
sounds like
anybody
he's
who's
been
never
holding that against you for a while now.
I'll tell you.
The
No, this,
traffic I had to get through to get him there and to pick him up. Taco Bell was the least of our worries.
well, I'm going to tell you right now.
Oh my God!
I'm going to tell you right
for
now.
one.
The minute I cross the border, going to Eric Cooper's Paracon in Lyndon, Washington, the first town outside, right across from the Canadian-U.S. border, Lyndon, Washington. There is a Taco Time right there. Right there. Me and our Keith Andrews, we are pulling in there. I don't care if Keith eats crap. I don't care. I am pulling into that Taco Time, and I am pigging the hell out because I deserve it.
I'll bring the fixins, and we'll have a taco party.
We're in a hotel, man. We're not cooking.
Oh, you don't have taco party. You don't have to cook much.
Nah, man,
Well, dude, when you go to the concert, just I'll get a box full of things and take them back home with you.
May have to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I may
Remember
have to.
crystals and White Castles? They always seemed like such a good idea when you were coming off your drunk. The next morning, you're like, "Oh God, why did I eat those things?"
I can honestly say I have never been to a White Castle. Never been to
blasphemy.
Hey, they don't have them up here. I have been to an In-N-Out Burger, and Marie keeps going to Las Vegas, and once again, much like Kim never invites us down to Florida for the R. Keith Andrews party, Marie never invites me down to Vegas. Appreciate that, Marie. I like Vegas.
Vegas is the bomb.
Yeah, I'm a little upset, though, because Jamie Sexton from Rebel Planet News, he actually moved from Vegas to San Antonio, Texas earlier this week. You know?
Man, well, I plan on whenever KTOK gets so big, I plan on doing the first conference in Vegas. And you'll be one of the main dudes there, bro.
You better, man, because I am coming. I am coming to that. I will do anything Vegas. Hold on.
Don't say that.
Marie says, I'm in Los Angeles, but say Vegas, and let's go. It's on. It's on, Marie. It is totally on. I don't know what the hell's happening with my studio here. It's like my computer is starting to freeze up.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't know. Can't even play any audio right now. Oh, there we go. It's decided that it wants to play. Gentlemen, it's been a slice. How many messages are we at here? What's our total?
Over 2,000 for sure.
2371.
Nice. Nice. Keep racking them up. Marie, Facebook me. Let's talk Vegas. Whoever else wants to join Marie and I in Vegas, just come on up. Let me know. We need to plan a Spaced Out Radio Vegas party. All right.
I'll definitely go to that.
Joe Roop, Eric Markham, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate that. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL playing in the background. Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio.